What's going on? Born for Sports, and I'm here with my guy Ramon. We're back for another Mets fan fraternity show, and we're here to talk about some Mets baseball, some Mets spring training baseball news, and we are also naming our all-time Met teams today. So I'm sure a lot of Met fans that will be tuning in, that pass through this show, will look forward to that. First things first, what's good? Got my guy Ramon. What's good, bro? How you feeling today, man?
Feeling good, man. Just ready for the season. Shoot, man. Just a few more weeks. I'm excited. Um, I mean, obviously, just having baseball back is makes me happy either way. That means that we're getting to spring. We're getting out of the pressing. You can see it's bright blue outside. It's beautiful
Yes,
outside.
sir.
So it just brings the beautiful weather and just baseball. I'm ready. I'm ready for the season.
Yes, sir. No
Uh,
doubt about it. And in my neck of the woods, temperatures have been starting to turn the other way out here as well. So baseball is getting closer. Spring is getting closer. We all see it, we're getting closer to that. It's kind of been the up and down weather. So, before we get over that hump, we got to have the 2 seasons a day thing. But you know what? It's better than just being cold all the time. So we're getting
Facts.
it. We're
Yeah,
getting
was
it.
almost there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Seeing the chat checking in. Oh, my pops checking in. Can't wait for baseball. Yes, indeed. Yes,
How you
indeed. We
doing?
cannot wait. Also, a big time Met fan. Let's go, Mets. Can't wait. We're going to talk some Mets baseball today. And this season, the expectations with this team, man, is going to be beautiful, man. It's going to be beautiful.
hmm
And knowing that, we finally have the expectations of, yeah, we're good too. It's time to set them up here. It's no more, well, let's see what happens and let's see if they pleasantly surprise us. That's
hmm
out the window now, So, but as far as the spring training goes, man, I see Clay Holmes is coming out the game now. Finally, another good start for Mr. Clay Holmes as the
hmm
Mets jumped out early in the first inning. Ramon, early 6-run first inning. Good to see Mark Vientos go yard first at bat
hmm
as Lindor reached on an error. No Juan Soto today. A few starters didn't play today, but still we got some starters in there. The guys that'll be in the lineup going forward when they head up north every day
hmm
came in and they did their thing. Lindor led off the inning with a error. He reached on an error, and then Vientos hitting second in order blasted a 2-run home.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what you want to see. I mean, and that's probably what it's going to look like during this season. You got to think about it. Fine. You don't want to pitch to Lindor. You try to get around him. You're going to have to pitch to Soto. You're going to do the same thing to Soto. You're going to have to pitch to
That 1-2
Alonso.
punch,
You're
bro.
going to do
That
the
one.
same thing to Alonso. You're going to have to do the same thing to Vientos. That first four, I mean, obviously, the Dodgers' first three alone, I mean, that's a $1 billion three with
Yeah.
Ohtani,
3
Betts, and
MVPs.
Freeman. I mean, I'm not going to put anyone in front of them, but I will say that the Mets, their top four, they could compete with anyone.
I put the Mets top of that lineup on paper. Now,
hmm
of course, it's on paper. They got to do it. Everybody got to
hmm
do their part. But man, on paper, that Met lineup is going to be as good as anybody's not named the Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers they got a great lineup. They're who they are. They got the freaking infinity stones of MVPs
I
in
mean,
the top of their
let's
lineup.
just be real. If the
Yeah.
Dodgers are here, everybody else is right here
Yep.
they're playing catch up, honestly.
Yep. I mean,
And
they
when
got
we're trying to claw our way into that Dodger territory, where
yeah.
if we don't get the free agents, we know that we have somebody waiting in the wings in our
Exactly.
farm system. Just be like, oh, we didn't get this person. All right, our third baseman, he looks good. Let's bring him up.
Right. And
So,
that lineup the Mets have, is it when they're healthy, they're gonna be a big force. If everybody plays the way they are capable of playing, especially just beginning the lineup, the start of the lineup, Lindor and
mhm.
Soto. It starts there. Name
Well,
me a better 1-2 punch. I'm
we have
just
to remind Met fans not to jump off the freaking bridge if Lindor starts off slow.
Yes,
He
because he
always
traditionally does.
slow. You know what I'm saying? So, like, pump your brakes if he starts off slow. Like, he's gonna be Lindor's Lindor. So, as long as everybody else is doing what they're supposed to be doing, we'll be perfectly fine. So,
Exactly.
because he
Exactly.
can get on base, but
Yep.
poison. That's the thing.
He hit over 300 once he was moved to the leadoff spot. And
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of the season, he had a terrible start to his season. And like my guy Ramon said, don't listen. You guys out there, bring it down a notch when if these guys start slow. It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. He's
Facts.
proven that every year with any player on this team. You got to give him time. Lindor traditionally is a slow starter to begin the season. That is a fact. It's the only thing that I don't like about his game, but you can't stop those things. All I care about at the end is how you finish. And you saw how it started last year and how it finished. We wouldn't have been nowhere near what we got last year without him. So let's just see how it goes. Let's let things play out. Francisco Lindor, we know he's one of the top players in baseball. Just gotta give it time. Give it time. So you start that lineup with him, and then you got the great Juan Soto hitting right after him. Good luck with that, MLB. Good luck with that. Now, listen, I'm not here to say it's better than Judge and Soto was together last year because of how great Aaron Judge is, regular season Aaron Judge. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't get any better 1-2 punch than that with Lindor and Soto at all.
And the only reason that I would give Lindor and Soto the edge, I know we're only talking about 1-2 punches, but that third punch matters.
Oh, yes.
And the Yankees didn't have that all the time.
No.
Like, they can't. Unfortunately, Giancarlo Stanton, he's 35 years old now. Like,
always heard,
you know, like,
going on.
Unfortunately, like, obviously when he's playing, good grief, like, you see the numbers that he puts up. Like, he'll play like 100 games and still give you 30 home runs. And you're like,
yeah,
how the hell? But you can't
he's
count
a dog
on
in the playoffs. He's a dog.
Oh yeah, he carries.
He comes up bigger in big spots than Judge does in the playoffs. Let's be honest about it.
Well, you know, I'm gonna give Judge. And
I'm not knocking Judge. I don't mean to knock him.
No, of course not. But I'm gonna give Judge a pass only because the greatest hitter I've ever seen in my whole life with buns in the playoffs, except for one run, Barry Bonds. Right. Barry Bonds was straight buns when he was with the Pirates.
No doubt about it.
But then he had that one run in 2002?
Yeah.
When they played the Angels in the World Series, he's the only one that showed up.
Yep, only one. And they wouldn't even have got there. He had that one run. Even A-Rod. A-Rod was terrible in the playoffs, but he had that one.
That one 09, yep.
So it only takes one to forgive those things. And I'm sure as many chances and it also comes down to having the chances in the playoffs because it's not easy to make the playoffs every year, but the Yankees are one of those franchises that usually do make it. So he's going to have his opportunities, but to this point, he hasn't, got it done. But it only takes one to forget about the rest.
Because you're absolutely right. Baseball is the hardest sport to get into the playoffs. It has the least amount of spots.
Sure does.
So sure does. And then you got to take into account, like, for us, for instance, the National League East. No matter how good we got, the Braves were still without Acuna last year. You know what I'm saying? He's coming back this year.
Of injuries.
Exactly, and they still, won 89 games, the same amount as we did. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And then you have the Phillies, who, when you get past Ranger Suarez and Wheeler,
right,
the rest of their pitching staff is kind of like average, but that lineup is freaking potent. And they win 95 games.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So and then you have the Nationals are looking a lot better now. Like we could. I think the Marlins. I think they're going to do another fire sale. I think they're done.
Speaking of fire sale, Ramon, I'm glad you said that. I got my eyes on Alcantara, bro. I'm telling you right now. If he becomes that's a guy I would love to get at the trade deadline if he becomes available. He would be perfect on this team.
Yeah.
Perfect. Especially with the injuries that we get. And listen, pitchers get hurt. This is why, I don't blame Stearns for his approach with not giving out those big long-term deals to these pitchers
Mm-hmm.
because they just get hurt a lot, man.
Well, we've had this discussion before offline. What we said, pitchers, they
Yep.
don't pitch anymore. They
Yep.
just throw.
They just throw their arm out.
And I'm not saying that I'm an expert by any means. So please, everyone out there in the internet world, don't take this as gospel. But like, just as someone who's watched baseball his whole life,
Right, exactly.
Greg Maddux was probably one of the greatest pitchers I've ever seen, and he was hardly ever hurt. I'm not saying he couldn't throw hard, but the most he was topping out at, as I can remember, was about 93, 94. But he was so smart. He would paint the hell out of your corners 80, 70 miles per hour and fool the hell out of you. He was able to pitch for 20-plus years.
That's right.
Win 300-plus games and still strike out, a decent amount. Yep. So that's the thing. With it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's
cliche.
Just how MLB's playing analytics now. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like how fast can they throw?
Yeah. It's all about velocity.
Mm-hmm. And we've had this conversation as well offline. How many of these Tommy John surgeries are happening to kids even before they get into high school?
Yep.
Or in high school.
They're getting hurt in the minor league.
50% of Tommy John surgeries are to kids in junior high and high school.
Right.
What is going on? Teach the kids how to pitch. Stop. Velocity is not all that matters. Dude, I can throw freaking 88, 89 still at my advanced age, but I'll spray it all over the place. I don't got no command.
Right. Yep. And command is another situation too that's really escaped MLB pitching nowadays, because now, like you said, you throw hard. Yeah, that's great. You throw hard. It's good to miss bats. You want that, especially in the bullpen, late in the innings and stuff. But can you control it? Can you locate? Because if you throw hard and you're all over the zone, major league hitters they're not going to swing at that all the time.
No, they're so much smarter now. All the technology they have to know the tendencies of a pitcher. Like, for instance, prime example, I love the dude because he's one of ours, but Diaz. When Diaz is off, when it starts going everywhere. And what do batters do? They'll just hold the bat on their shoulder and be like, throw a strike, dude.
Yep.
Throw a strike. We'll be here all day. Ricky Vaughn it all you want. I'll be here all day.
Yeah. No doubt about it. So, hey, listen, it's a big thing. And it's almost now to the point where is that a hit? Yeah, Alonso just got a hit. Heading to second on a double. So now we got second and only thing I hate about Vientos, he's so slow, but whatever. Second and third, 2 out, man. Good job by Pete going the other way on that.
He's been doing that a lot this spring. So
spraying that ball down the line. So good job by him as these guys keep working to get their timing down in spring training. But so second and third, 2 outs in the fourth inning, bottom of the fourth, and a 6-0 game for the Mets right now. But and it's almost like nowadays, it's almost better that the pitchers, before they get to the major league, already have one Tommy John surgery already, because it's inevitable they're going to get hurt. And sooner or later, they're going to have that Tommy John at least one time in their career. And you just hope it's before you have to pay them and before you have to lock them up long term. Yeah. It sucks when you lock them up long term. And how many pitchers have we seen this happen to already? You lock them up long term, within the 2 years after they signed, they're hurt. And they got to have a surgery. And then now you're like sitting there scratching your head like, damn, did we do the right thing giving him this money? Will he be the same? All of this stuff. It's just what it is. So Sandy Alcantara, hey, we know when he's right, one of the top players in baseball, top pitchers in baseball. And I would love Marlins are going to have a fire sale. We all know how cheap that ownership is, and they don't draw tennis well as well. Hey, he will be a guy I want the Mets to have their radar on. I hope that happens.
Was it Kim New? Was their GM, the woman GM?
Yeah, and they got rid of her, right?
They got rid of her after she started turning the ship around. I was like, are you kidding? And that's the thing. She was following the guidelines of like how they want to play players.
Yep. She was doing
she's doing everything right. They're doing well. They're developing. You look
Developing
like they're going
good
to turn
young
a corner.
arms.
Yeah. And
Yup.
then all of a sudden it's like, see you later. And I'm like,
Or
she's
because
one of
they
the.
didn't want to give her more of a title in the organization. I mean, she
Mm-hmm.
deserved it. She was the one thing that was going well for them. I even think they even made the playoffs one year. I think during
Yeah,
the
they did in
yeah,
2020
it's
because they were
ridiculous.
actually pretty darn good in 2020. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of teams that made the playoffs probably shouldn't have made it, but like, who cares? Like, it was a weird time. Like,
yeah,
put everybody in the playoffs if they wanted to that year, but they
right,
played well.
right.
So I don't understand. She's a brilliant baseball mind, and I'm surprised that like another team hasn't like really like you know what? You're the president. You take care of it. Like
Right,
here.
right, right. I didn't understand that at all, and the Marlins might regret that because it's not to me really a desirable job. You know, you're coming in there, and you know you're going to be restricted with with your income to spend, and you
Hmm.
got to do it with the farm, and then you know what happens when you got to try to turn to pay these guys. Eventually, you're going to either have to trade them away or they leave. So it's one of those things, and it's hard. And players in free agency don't want to go there because they know they're not going to win. So it's like it's hard. It's hard. Corey
And that's
checking in
sad.
on the chat, baby. Corey Santos, what's good, bro? Baseball gonna be interesting this year. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Corey,
Hmm.
are you what are you a Mets fan or a Yankee fan? I don't remember if you told me before, but not that it matters. We all welcome any fan of any team on this show, especially our Met Nation. So
Hmm.
shout out to you coming on. And yes, it's gonna be a very interesting year, man. Very
Hmm.
interesting year. Got a lot of teams that are expected to contend, and then there's always teams that come out of nowhere you're not thinking about. So let's see. Good. Oh, he says Yankees, bro. Okay, all right, Yankee
Okay,
fan.
no
All right,
problem. No
that's
problem.
what's up.
That's
That's what's
okay.
up. You guys got to watch out for Boston this year, man. I'm telling you, that team, in my opinion, is going to be a big thorn. They made the right moves, sneaky moves, and then they got Bregman. And with these injuries the Yankees are dealing with, man, they're going to be a pain in the neck for y'all this year. No doubt about it. Crochet, he looked good the other day. You
I,
know, in his start, Red Sox are going to be there, man.
I agree with you to a point, and the only reason is the Yankees were already in this situation last year.
Right.
Garrett Cole only made 17 starts last year, bro, and they still won 94 games.
Yeah, man.
You
Yeah,
know what
man.
I'm saying? Like
Yep,
it's just something
absolutely.
Max Fried might end up being the Cy Young Award because you know how it is as well as I do. There's something about when, especially that first year, either one of two things happen. They put those pinstripes on, all of a sudden they become who they were, and they become an
Right.
ace like they were, or they become straight buns.
Well, he
That's
better
what
be.
happens.
He better
And
be because they paid him a lot. 8 years. I wouldn't have did that, but
because
I understand.
even losing Cole and Gill, you have Fried, you have Rodon, you have Stroman, you have Warren, you have Schmidt.
Yeah. Schmidt is hurt too now, they said, right?
Yeah, I think so. He's day to day. I think I saw.
Oh, okay. Day to day. At least he's
That's
not
what I thought I saw.
long
I wasn't
term.
100% sure. I'll have to look
Oh,
that
okay.
up. But I did see that. I did see that he might have been day to day. But like they
Got you.
still have a pretty decent starter rotation. Like even that starting rotation, that
It
five I
is.
would take against most rotations in the
No,
majors.
no, no doubt about it. No doubt. But Cole is the
So
big one. If that injury
mhm.
is very scary, he's not talking pretty
He
confident
seemed like
about it
he was
either.
nervous. Yeah, he seemed like he was
Yeah,
nervous about it
yeah.
himself.
If
So
I'm Yankee fans, I would be
that's
very
what makes
concerned
me
about
as
that.
just a baseball fan nervous. So
Yeah,
as a Yankee fan, you know that they're kind of like, damn,
yeah.
dude, like not again. Like we need you.
Yeah, and that elbow's already been barking for a few years now, and he got through it last year and stuff like that. So, listen, hopefully he's okay and it won't be too long. He'll be out. I would imagine he'll be out for some time, but hopefully it's not a season ender,
Hmm.
or whatever. So, shout out to Cole. Hopefully, it's not too bad. He'll get at least encouraging news that it's not end season ending because
Yeah.
that is a huge loss for the Yankees if they lose. And if that happens, they're going to have to go out and get a pitcher to help. And it's crazy is they were actually talking about getting rid of Stroman. Now there's no chance you do that. You can't get rid of him because of all these
No, not
injuries
right
they got.
now.
They've already lost 2 starters, and if Cole is out long term, oh man, that's a rough one, man. That's a rough one. So let's see sooner or later get some news. Corey also says they got to stay healthy, It's always a pattern with the Yankees every time. Shaking my head. Yeah, man. Well, listen, pitchers get hurt a lot in any team. So, that's why it's
Yeah,
always
yeah, that's what I was
important.
gonna say.
Yeah,
Pitchers are gonna happen. It's the position players that
yeah,
when they start getting hurt a lot, you're like, all right, what
yeah.
the hell are the trainers doing right now?
Yeah, yeah, seriously, man. I mean, this is why baseball is starting to now be more open to the 6-man rotations because of these injuries these pitchers keep getting. It's just very difficult to keep pitching staffs healthy for a whole season like that. You got to have depth, number one. You got to have guys, whether it's on the team or in the minors, that are ready to step in for a couple of weeks at times and fill in until the guys get ready to get back in. It just is what it is. 6-man rotations gives more rest for the guys. Less wear and tear on the arms, especially the older pitchers, I would say. The older pitchers, and also the young pitchers when they first come in, they hit them with the innings limit right away when they first get up. So it protects them from themselves. So listen, it's just one of those things, man. Pitchers get hurt, and it's a tough market in free agency to try to pay these guys the money they be trying to look for, especially when the agent is Scott Boras. But that's a story for another day. But that's just what. Was Burns a part of Boras?
I think so. Corbin Burns.
Yeah. Now
I think so.
He was regarded as the top pitcher on the market, and you saw how long it took for someone to give him a deal. He was looking for like 8-9 years, and look what he got. He didn't get 8-9 years. So, hey, it's a tough thing. Baseball is starting to shift away from paying the crazy 8 to 10 year deals to pitchers now. So, you know what? You see why with all these injuries that go on, man. It just is what it is, But as the Yankees, they're gonna have some moves to make and decisions to make. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like we don't got some issues. Let's talk about it. Men injuries at spring training is that time of year where every team gets injuries here and there, and you just hope you get to opening day without a clusterfuck of all of them. Well, the Mets got one big one in news today. Francisco Alvarez, our starting catcher, he's out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured hammock bone on his hand. For what I read, he hurt it by swinging a bat in batting practice, which just totally sucks that would happen. So it's going to take some time. Best part about it, it's early. It's early. Better this happen now than during the season or late when we really need them out there. Whenever you lose your starting catcher, it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. If you know the game, you know. If you know. Your pitching staff's going to suffer because he has the rapport with the staff and the pitchers that he's worked with. And also, when you're the type of catcher that Alvarez is, who can bring a stick to the lineup, that hurts as well. It hurts the length of the lineup. So this is a big injury. It sucks. I was expecting big things from Francisco Alvarez this year because I felt like last year he played through that thumb injury. After he came back, he wasn't really the same. That's a tough injury, especially for a catcher on your catch hand. This injury is also on the same hand, his glove hand. So this is going to be something we're going to have to watch during the season. It's going to have to be managed. I would imagine the Mets will not rush him back, which as they shouldn't, and wait and let him take his time for that thing to heal. Because when Alvy came back last year from that thumb injury, we had that torn ligament in his thumb, he struggled. He struggled a lot when he came back. So, hey, let's best wishes. Get well soon to Alvy. And it's a tough injury, man. It's a tough injury. Tough one.
Yeah, this one sucks. Like you said, he commands the team. Like every pitcher from freaking Matt Scherzer, Verlander, DeGrom, like they all said that, like he commands the team, like he takes control, like a
Yes, he
catcher's
does.
supposed to, because they're just an extension of the manager, honestly. Like they
Yes, he
see
is.
everything, they know everything. Like
Have him
everything,
too.
all
Yep.
the shifts, everything that you see. Like I know that sometimes you see those catchers looking crazy out there and everything. They're shifting. They're letting you know everything because they did all the homework, so nobody else has to.
Right.
That's why managers end up making some of the best. Catchers end up sometimes making the best managers because they have all that information in their head. Yeah. So, but the only We do have a good backup.
Torrens.
Turan's is a good backup. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't want him there for every single caught game. If we
Right.
can sign, somebody, or shit, if we have somebody hiding in the minors maybe somewhere, um,
Yeah.
to help him with the load, because defensively and calling a game and framing, Torrens is really good.
Yes, he
But
is. And
but
he was
hitting,
solid last year filling in.
yeah,
He was very
yeah,
solid. Remember the Mets, they had Navarez to start as the backup before they let
yep,
him go. And they kind of Nito, he was bad or whatever. They
hmm,
made changes. And when they brought Torrens over, it really stabilized that position until Albie
yep,
got back. He did a
yep,
very good job for the Mets,
yep,
man.
yep. So, and my only concern would be, like you said, would be hitting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because Francisco Alvarez, we talked about this offline as well. You notice he changed his batting style.
Yes, he did.
He's not is not on his shoulder anymore, so he doesn't have
Yeah.
to bring it up and then come
Right.
across. It's already up. He's ready
Yeah.
to bat, and he was
Timing
actually
mechanism.
putting. He was, if you looked at his BABIP and like everything else like that, like he was putting the ball into play, and
Yes,
and,
he
and
was.
lining the ball like the ball was coming off his bat like really explosive, and now
Right.
it sucks. We got to wait
Yeah,
two
man.
months, but you know what? I'd rather him be completely healthy because he's still very young.
Yes. Yes, he
He's
is.
not he's not even 24 years old yet.
Yep.
That's what
Yep.
people don't understand. So like let him time, let him marinate, let him get better. Don't rush him back. Just sign a veteran, have somebody else, and let Torrens do it right now. Let
I
him
totally agree.
let him do it.
I totally agree with you, man. And the Mets are going to have to go outside the organization. They're going to have to find a backup option, veteran presence to stabilize that position. Like you said, Torrens is a good player. He did a good job for us holding it down when Alvy got hurt last year, but he's not an everyday player. And
Hmm.
you don't want to wear that out. And they're going to have to. He's got a can of it on. He's very good at throwing out runners, actually better at Alvarez than doing that statistically last year.
Yep.
And he calls a good game. He knows his pitching staff well, so it's gonna be he'll be solid for what he is. But we need to
Hmm.
go outside the organization to make sure when he doesn't play, there is a even worse drop off. So I don't think there's
Yeah.
any question the Mets will do that. I
Yeah.
heard I saw some people online already talking about Thomas Nito. I don't want to go there, but it's better. It might be better than what we had. I don't want to go there, and I'm sure once the cuts are made and the organization will make some moves. And I don't know the free agent list right now, outside right now,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but I'm sure Stearns will be looking. The funny thing is, this kid today hit a grand slam.
Yeah. They're back up now.
Yeah, the backup
um,
now hit a grand slam in the first inning today. So I don't know if they want to do that. I would feel more comfortable if they go outside the organization, and I'm sure they
Jackson
will.
Reeds.
Reeds, yes, Jackson Reeds. He had a grand slam in the first inning today. It was almost like he was telling them, like, "Hey guys, don't go out there. Bring
I
me
can
up to
do
the table.
this. Yeah, I
I
can
can
do
do this.
this. Yeah.
I can do this." Yeah, hit a shot, hit a grand slam in the first inning. So that was nice to see. Nice to see him do that. But I think I'm going to be paying more attention in the spring now with this injury to Albie to see how he looks with the staff. But I want the organization to go outside and get a veteran presence to back up Torrens. That is the only way you do that, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep.
Um, yeah, go
Because
ahead.
unfortunately, Parada's not ready.
What a shame. I mean, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened, man? What
I
this
don't know
guy's not
because
even a consideration. That
that
is
that
sad.
that would have been such a great freaking problem to have right now. But like he went from being the best catcher in college, Georgia Tech, I think it was, to
Right.
being an absolute afterthought.
Is he even in AAA yet?
I think that they're bringing him up to AAA this season. He's going up there with like Jet and Clifford and Gilbert and
Right.
Ortega, like guys
Yeah.
like that. So like I think he's going to be
Yeah.
with them.
Okay.
So he has been batting a little bit better, like late last year. So I'm hoping that it carries over.
Yeah.
But
Haven't seen much
God,
of him in spring, have we? I haven't
no,
seen
no,
anything.
no, not a
I
damn
don't.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. He just, he's not ready. He's not ready to be with the club. So just even more of a reason for the Mets to go outside the organization to find a backup catcher to help stabilize the position until Alvy is ready. I would imagine we're looking at probably sometime late May for Alvarez to get back up with the
Hmm.
club. I
Agreed.
know they said 6 to 8 weeks. It's already March 9th today. Then you're talking about a situation where not just health wise, he's got to get Springer back. He's got to get his spring training back because now you can't just throw him in there. You got to get him, acclimated, hitting again and getting his swing in time and again. Mets need to play the long game with Alvy on this one. I
Hmm.
felt like it showed last year that he kind of pushed himself. In my opinion, he probably just wasn't ready when he did come back. He kind of
Hmm.
pushed because he wanted to join the team because he felt like they needed him, that which they did. But I think early in the season, now that this happened, Mets need to play the long game. Don't rush Alvy. Let him take his time. Let him
Agreed.
take his time. He's too important to this team on pitching wise and with the bat in the lineup. So let's see what happens. Go outside the organization and get a replacement to back up Terrence, man, is what I would do.
I would, yeah.
Also today, this is something that's a little concerning for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Brandon Nimmo was held out today. He was scheduled to play today. They targeted today's game early in the week that he would come back in there because he's only played 2 games, I think, so far this spring with that
Hmm.
right knee soreness discomfort he's been dealing with. At first they were saying Nimmo kind of downplayed it when it first happened, like, just a little soreness. We just want to like be careful and stuff. I don't get ramped up too much in spring anymore until like the last couple of weeks before we break camp. Well, we're still in a situation where now he was held out again, and this time he received a gel injection. This
Hmm.
one's a little concerning for me because he downplayed it. The Mets kind of downplayed it. Now he's taking injections. We haven't even gotten up north yet. This is something to watch going forward, I think, Ramon.
I agree. The only thing that gives me like any pause for concern when it comes to Nemo is that he does get like little like hurt like this a lot during the season. He
Yeah,
gets injections in his shoulders, his elbow. Like it happens a lot to him this year.
right,
Look how many games he's played the last 4 years: 151,
right.
152, 154, 152. My man shows up.
He
Um,
does.
but but I do get what you're saying, especially it being so early. He's not
Yeah,
even
man.
warmed up.
And
That's
then
the thing
getting
that
injections
does,
already,
yeah,
like,
that's the thing that does have me worried. Like if it was in the middle of the season and he's, and
yeah,
is going, like bumps and bruises happen, as well as I do.
yeah. And he
So
plays hard as anybody, so
yeah,
that's going to
but
happen.
but the fact that he's only played 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were targeting today too. They were targeting today. This is one of the games. This is one of the games why I wanted to do a show today. I want to see how Nimmo looks, something to
Hmm.
talk about and things like that. But when I saw yesterday, they said they holding him out and he got a gel injection in that thing.
Yeah.
Little concerning for me that it's so early and this is happening. Listen, Brandon Nimmo's a tough guy. As you mentioned, he plays basically every game he can. And I'm sure that when the team gets to opening day, he's going to push the play no matter what's going on. The Mets have to play the long game with him, in my opinion, as well.
I agree
Don't
as well.
let him if he needs injections, just let him rest that thing, man. Let him rest that thing. In my opinion, they're saying that maybe in a couple of days he'll be back out doing activities. I'm not even messing with that. In my opinion, I'm
No.
giving him at least a week with that thing on.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed.
Sometimes you got to protect the player from himself. Brandon
Hmm.
Nimmo is a gamer. I love Nimmo's heart with that stuff, but dude, you're too important to the team. Now we already down Alvy. Slow it down. Get right.
Agreed.
Listen, opening day isn't for another couple of weeks. Get that thing right. Get that thing to stop barking. Chill out. And in my opinion, he has to be the DH at least the first week of the season.
You know what? I agree. I would do that in a heartbeat. Like let his knee relax. He doesn't have to run out in the field all the
Yeah.
time, but
Take
his
that
bat is
stress
still in
off
the
of him.
lineup. Exactly. And this is why it was important that the Mets brought back Jesse Winker.
Big time. Big time.
And getting another outfielder like Jose
Yes.
Siri, because
Yes.
like we have depth in the outfield, we really do, seriously. Because we still have Marte also, you know, like we have Marte, we have Winker, we have Siri, we have Taylor.
Yep, we have that.
So
even McNeil can play out there.
Even McNeil can play out there. As much as we don't want to see him out there,
we don't want to, but at least you know.
Yeah, like in case of emergency. But but Nemo, his bat is too important to the lineup. Honestly, it really is. So if you could just keep him out there as your DH, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I think that has to be the smart play here, and I hope that's what the Mets do. Sometimes you just got to protect. You got to protect your player from himself. You know what I'm saying? You just have to. You know, this is one of the things. A funny thing, I was talking with the guys with the other day with the Knicks when I forgot what game it was. I think it was maybe the Lakers a couple weeks back. Whatever the case, Towns got hurt. He went to the locker room. Couldn't even put weight on that thing, and he checked himself back in the game. And I was kind of annoyed with Tibbs not protecting himself from himself. Sometimes you got to do that with these players. They're gamers. You got to play the long game. You got to play the long game. It's
not every play, exactly. Not every player is Anthony Rendon. Like they're going to give you 100%. So.
Right, exactly, exactly, man. Dude got get a little tummy ache. He already like, I need 2 days off. So Nemo, we got to protect him from himself. DH this guy. Make sure we get that thing right before we put him back in the outfield. Because, like you said, Mets have plenty of depth in the outfield. That is one of their strong depth play areas on this team. We got options. Thank God we didn't trade Marte now. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. You know, Marte can fill in. You could put him in right. You could put him in left field or whatever, or Winker there, or like you said, you know, whatever the case. Let's play this right, Mets. Let's play this right. You know what I'm saying? So,
like you said earlier, marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like we're not playing for the first 2 weeks. We're playing to play in October. So if it takes them to be freaking off for a few weeks to get right, I have no issues with that, because I'd rather them be out in the beginning of the season than when it really matters.
Right. Especially, and another thing is, you know, when the team breaks north, the weather's not going to be warm yet. You know what I mean? It's not going to be warm yet. So that's another thing. Another reason why you probably should play the long game with Nemo and make sure you DH him so he's not running out there in the cold and all of that, you know, banging into nothing, stuff like that. Play that man at DH, Mr. Mendoza. And I hope that is the plan going forward. We got to protect Nemo from himself, because he will. He's a gamer. Like I said, he's a gamer. He will push and he will be ready for opening day if he's able. Let's DH him going forward. All right.
Agreed.
So next topic, weekend news. Juan Soto chose the Mets despite not having the highest offer. Well. So all the haters out there, and it's not just the haters disguised as Yankee fans, it's haters in general out there that were mad that Juan Soto went to the Mets because the perceived perception, he only went for $5 million extra. He could have just stayed with the Yankees. Why would he do that? Blah, blah, blah. Kill that noise now, because over the weekend we got news. Juan Soto from the man himself, and was confirmed what he said too by other reporters, by like Heyman. Juan Soto chose the Mets despite the Mets not having the highest offer. Now I am sure if they came to Cohen and said, "Hey, this team right here, whoever this team is, they made a higher offer than you. Okay, can you bring it up and I'll sign?" I'm sure if it had to come down to that, Cohen probably would have considered doing it anyway. But it's good to see this come out, that the Mets didn't even have the highest possible offer and he still chose Queens. So for all those haters out there that are mad at Juan Soto, knock it off, okay? Knock it off. The Mets are actually more desirable than you think, okay? Let's cut all that noise. He chose the Mets because he wanted to be here. It wasn't just about the money. Money's a big deal. Of course it is. We don't dispute that. We're not dummies out here. But it wasn't the top factor. Okay. Plenty of money is money. And hey, he chose this situation because he believed in this situation was best for him more. Simple as that.
And the feeling of family, apparently, that the Mets have
Best situation for him. Yep.
has made, especially since the Wilpons have been usurped. Like
Yes.
they feel like the players feel like that the owners and everybody around there want them to be there.
Right.
And not that they're just owners, that they actually care. That they
Right.
don't see it just as an investment. I mean, don't
That's
get me
right.
wrong. These are still rich people. They still see this as an investment, but at the same time, like it's refreshing to see an owner that wants to win.
No
It's
doubt
refreshing
about
to see an owner that like actually looks like he takes the time to find out about all his players, not just the star ones.
it.
You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Because
Yes.
that was another issue with the Wilpons. Like it looked like if you weren't David Wright or like somebody with a big name, who gives a shit about you? These dudes like they hang out with they hang out with the ball boys, to get to know them,
Yep. Very family oriented
and
team.
people don't understand that, especially when you're supposed to be with these people and your family's supposed to be with these people almost a whole year. Like families come to parks and come to games a lot more than people think. Just because you don't see them in
Yeah.
the park doesn't mean they're not there.
Exactly.
They're there. And if they're treated like shit, they're going to tell their player husband. And then that player husband's going to tell somebody else, who's going to tell somebody else, who's going to tell somebody else. And then
Exactly.
you don't want that snowballing. Like,
Right.
look in the NFL right now.
Right.
Like they just gave out all their grades. And like you see all the teams that got F grades, like for family, a lot of
Yep.
those teams suck.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yep. Those
Because when a player is distracted, I know people are like, oh, they have millions of dollars, like they can't be that distracted. Money doesn't stop distractions. Money
no,
doesn't
it
stop
does not.
depression. Money doesn't stop your mind from mining. Like from thinking about shit.
Right.
So
Right.
when your family's taken care of and they're good, that's a weight off of your shoulder. Now all you have to do is go out there and perform.
Exactly.
And if
Exactly.
you're a professional like Juan Soto, you know you're going to perform. So, okay, my mom, everyone's taken care of now. All I got to do out there is hit the cover off a ball. Come on. Like,
And you can see it.
that matters.
You can see
hmm
that weight is off of him too. Nice play by, is that Acuna? One of the second baseman made a nice play. Oh, Suedo. Okay.
Swear
Nice
to.
play. Yeah, nice play on the pop up to end the inning. But yeah, as you said, family matters, man, especially to these players. And you could see Juan Soto is really fit in with this team very fast. It looks like a big weight is off his shoulder because obviously last year he handled the expectations and the weight of what was going on tremendously. He
Yeah,
handled it tremendously. Had a
agreed.
great year, had a great postseason, and he cashed in and he got what he got. So, but you could see that weight is off of him. It's no button up kind of, button up vibes or none of that. It's just,
hmm
hey, family, let's have fun. He's fitting well. I think Mendoza even said, I thought I saw today, I saw him say that he's kind of surprised how fast Soto has fit in with the clubhouse. Now that speaks to two things. Number one, the clubhouse is great, and
hmm
that just goes to show you the clubhouse is very good, and they love. Hey, they genuinely make it very welcoming for players to come as long as you show you're there to work. That's
hmm
number one. Number two, the organization, like you said, Steve Cohen, the secret weapon more. His wife, Alex Cohen.
Yeah, Alex. Thank
Yeah,
you. I was going to say that too. Give
yes,
props to Alex. Seriously,
big time, big
she
time.
has been
Latina.
that, and that's what people say. A lot of the times, like especially a lot of these bigger free agents that the Mets have signed lately, they're like,
Right.
what has been like the finishing touch? It's been
Right.
Alex Cohen.
Yep.
Because she's not gonna bullshit with you. She's a Latina from Brooklyn, New York. Come on, man.
Hey,
She's gonna
now,
tell you how it
listen,
is.
Listen, she gonna give you that bodega. She gonna give you that bodega shit. She ain't with that.
You know what I'm
She gonna
saying? She's
keep it
not with the
100 with
shit.
you.
She's gonna give it to you 100.
Yeah,
And
she
if she
gonna give it
says,
to you the
"Listen,
right
this is what
way.
we wanted," yep. And she grew up a Met fan, so she's just as
Yes,
passionate as Steve about the team. Like they want to
yes.
win.
And
So,
the wives of these players genuinely love her too, from what I've read as well. Like she takes care of
mhm.
all the families, man. Big time, man. And you
And
know what? Hey,
that matters.
it matters,
That
man. It
matters.
matters. And maybe the Yankees are starting to see that because you see what's going on. Let's talk about that. Oh, now they allowing bids now. So now we doing that now, huh?
Well, you know,
It's hilarious to me now. It took Juan Soto going to the Mets, and I'm not blaming that as the only reason, but Juan
well,
Soto
yeah, of
going to the
course.
Mets is a factor, okay? Don't let no one fool you on that. That played a factor on some of these things going on. And also, people around the league are now voicing their opinion more loudly about the Yankee ways now.
Mhm.
They see that. They see that now it's starting to affect how players are looking at going to play for you long term. You know what I'm saying? It's not the allure of the Yankee dynasties and franchise and all of that is not going to be enough to always outweigh everything. These level of athletes are different now. They're just not about that. They don't care about that stuff as much as they care about family, winning, money. Whatever order you want to put it, that's what they care about. They don't care about, oh, I got to play for the Yankees at least one time before my career is over. Those days are over now, guys. So
I mean, you're still going to find players like that. You
they
are.
will.
Honestly,
They
you
will, but
will. Because
they
they're
will. I'm not
still
saying they
because
won't.
they're still the Yankees. You know, they're
Yeah.
still the Yankees. They're still going to get players like that.
Yeah.
But
They will get their fair share, no doubt about it.
but
But
like you said, times are changing. They really they are.
it
And
depends on the athlete that they're targeting. That's just
and
what
then
I'm talking
especially
about.
with a lot of Latin players, family does matter about how you
Yes.
treat them.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
especially if you treat mommy like crap to a Latin player, you lost him. That's it. That's
Big
it.
time.
You could be good to him the rest of the time. You are mean to mama or mommy one time.
Over.
That's it. It's
And then
over.
and then what they do is they tell that to the other players who they're very friendly with. And that
Hmm.
messes her up, man. And you just gotta loosen up, man. The Yankees don't need those stupid rules, man. They're good. They're already gonna be good. We know that. But once you do that and you just kind of level off that, man, maybe players will start looking at them different. Because you know that usually the Yankees are going to be a winner. That is not the
Hmm.
issue. It's just about of the stuff around all of that is starting to become louder and louder out there that, hey, we're not all on that ish no more. We want to be cool
Hmm.
too. We want to be comfortable when our family's taken care of, and we want to have fun too. We don't want to have to always feel like we have to walk straight every time you're around us. You know what I mean? So, hey, that's
That
a good thing for
that's
them
why
to
them
be.
getting that's why them getting Jazz Chisholm last year was so important.
Yeah,
Like he could shake up the clubhouse because he wasn't. Of course, he was going to conform a little bit because you have to.
have to
That's
play
still
there.
yeah, that's still your employer. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
you still have there's still rules to follow. But he has enough swagger that he was like, you know what, I'm still going to be me. And
absolutely.
that's good. That's just good for baseball. You're going to have your Aaron Judges, that hit your home runs, go around the bases. If it was a big home run, he'll come out. And then you have your people like Jazz Chisholm that is going to hit a freaking long home run and
Big time.
cartwheel the first, back wheel the second, and that's okay too. And that's what and that's what I've seen a lot of Yankee fans too. They were like, "Oh, but that's what separates us from other teams is the Yankee way. It was a tradition." And I'm like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Number one, traditions sometimes are meant to be broken, right?
yeah,
And number two, that was a tradition from 1976. It's not like it was a 100-year tradition. This is
yeah,
something started by George
yeah. He did that.
himself.
Thurman Munson was the last one to have a beard on the team.
Hmm.
Okay, believe it or not, Thurman Munson, the great Thurman Munson, who, hey, I never saw him play, but I saw some stuff about him, and he was a great catcher. And
Mm-hmm.
he was a captain, I believe, for the
Yeah.
Yankees at that time, and he
Yeah.
was a big time face in New York sports at the
He
time.
would have
He
been
had to be it
he would have been a Hall of Famer if
if it wasn't
unfortunately
for that
that
tragedy.
that for that tragic plane
Yeah,
accident. Like
yeah,
he was that good. He was on the level of like Carlton Fisk, and Carlton Fisk during those days was the man
right,
as catcher, and he was
yeah,
just as good, if not better.
right.
Like so, I mean, but yeah, like times change.
Times change, man. And hey, I always say it's. I'm always say this: you either adapt or you die. It's as
Mm-hmm.
simple as that. Nothing stays the same. You have to learn how to adapt, especially in life and in sports. If you want to have a career, if you want to
Yep.
have winning teams, you got to be able to adapt, man. Because not everything's going to stay the same till the day you die. So you got to be able to adjust and blend and do what you got to do. Yankees are finally taking steps to doing that with the beard policy. Hey, maybe they might put a name behind it on the back of the jersey one day.
You
Who
know, I'm
knows?
okay if they never do that.
I'm okay
That's
with
what
that too. I'm
I was
okay
gonna
with
say.
that too.
That's one of the traditions they want to
Hey,
keep it.
let them keep
That's
that.
because they look so clean.
And they're
That's
not the
why,
only
you
team
know.
that still do that. They're not the only team.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Red Sox
Yeah.
do that too. You know, there's other teams that do that. That's fine. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But the whole trying to put a chokehold on beers and all of that, man. I'm glad they scrapped that because that's
It's
just
like
had
okay, at the end
poor
of the day,
Devin
yeah.
Williams, man.
It's about making money. It's about and all that stuff. It is a corporation and all that stuff, but
Yeah,
also it's about winning and having fun.
no doubt
At the,
about it.
you're playing like I hate to say it like this, but like you're playing a children's game.
Yeah, man.
Like my son goes out there and plays baseball right now just for the fun of it, and you got to see the big ass smile on his face. It's like, don't forget that.
Right,
Like,
right.
come on, guys. And then some of these kids, like they don't want to see, like you said, they don't want to see that no more.
Yeah,
Not no more.
they want to have fun, man. Um, let's go to the next topic, and that is Max Kranick is turning
Hmm.
heads in camp. Boy, I tell you, I like what I see from him, man. His numbers are looking good too in spring training.
Hmm.
I think he got a real chance to make this team, bro. He is look good. He's got some good. He misses bats. He's got a nice little package of pitches. Man, what do you think about him making this team? Because I think there is a good chance he could be on the team heading north when we break camp, bro.
I think that he should. I personally think 4 games, 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, and 8 strikeouts.
Right.
Like he's been pitching, and like you said, he pitches and they miss,
Right.
and he's still young. He's only 27 years old, even after like
Yeah.
the missed the last couple of years because of arm injuries. But like we
Right.
just had this conversation earlier in this in this thing, arm injuries we're expected them to happen now,
Yep.
and now he's rested. So
Right.
I think that he could be a really key piece in our bullpen this year. I truly think so.
I really do
Um,
too, man.
I
Maybe
do.
put him in that Adam Ottavino role that we had for him over the last few years, to start him off and get him his feet wet with the team and getting into
Hmm.
games and get him comfortable, and then you experiment with some high leverage situations as the season
Yeah.
goes on to see if he can handle it. That's kind of the approach I would like to see. But I
Hmm.
really truly feel he needs to come up with this team on opening day. I want to see
I
more.
agree.
I want
Me
to see
too.
more from him. Can you imagine this bullpen for a minute now? Okay, let's just imagine this for. But first of all, you got Edwin Diaz. I'm expecting a big time bounce back season from Edwin Diaz, man. I really am. I
Me
think
too.
I don't know if we're gonna get the 2022 version, which was just a historic season, the best season I've ever seen a closer have in Mets history. But man, if we're gonna get, I think, the better version of him than we got from last year in his first year back, healthy off
Hmm.
that injury he had. Now you got him. You got a healthy uh the guy from oh god, draw a blank. The lefty that we got from the Braves, if he's healthy, we just signed him.
Mentor.
Mentor, exactly. Mentor, you know what he can do. Uh, really, really good late inning, high leverage pitcher. So you got 8 and 9 locked up right there. That's your 8 and 9,
Hmm.
whatever way you want to go. Then you got Reed. You got Cranny. This is going to be a talented pen, man.
Nunez, Stanek. Yeah,
Nunez healthy,
yeah.
hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the update. Has he gotten into a lot of games? Because every time I check games that they give, he doesn't pitch in those days. I gotta check his numbers too.
I haven't seen anything from him this year yet, like
Yeah,
this spring training.
not
I
sure
think
if
they're
he's
still bringing him along because he just got back from that injury.
right. They're gonna
So
take it slow with him,
yeah,
which
they're
they
gonna take it
should.
slow with him. Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, you put this kid Kranick in there, and if he can become something, boy, oh boy, that bullpen is gonna be a even bigger strength for this pitch staff. Because in my opinion, the bullpen is the stronger part of the pitching staff right now, in
Agreed.
my opinion, on paper. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
Manaya's hurt. He's going to probably miss the start of the season, probably, in which they should play the long game with him. Then we got what we got? We got Holmes. We got who looked good again today.
Yeah.
Very
Yes,
encouraging
sir.
so far with his transition to being a starter. Looking good, but we got to see him do it when the games count. So we got to see how that goes.
And Peterson looked really good yesterday
Very
too.
good yesterday.
David Peterson, like
Yes.
he looked like. I mean, I know it's just spring training, like we've been saying, but like he looked like he tapped into something at the end of last year with
Yes.
Jeffrey Hafner, and it looks like
Hefner
he's
might
just
have
carrying
unlocked him.
over.
Yeah, Hef might have
Mm-hmm.
unlocked him. He might have unlocked him last year. He was a big part of the staff last year down the stretch and in the playoffs. As you saw the role he played in the playoffs as well. He's been really good for us. Senga is the most important pitcher on this team going forward, in my opinion. If we
Agreed.
get Senga back to being Senga and 2 years ago, oh man, that's gonna be a big shot in the arm. Because to
Yep.
me, he's more of the ace to me of this staff. I know I like
Agreed.
Manaya, I really do, and I love what he gave us last year. But to me, Senga's ceiling of good is a little higher than Manaya. And if we can get that 2 years ago part of Senga and this staff, and then you add Manaya back to doing what he doing when he get right, and then you got Peterson doing what he doing, and then you got maybe Holmes doing a good job, man, then you got something there. You got something there. So, in
Agreed.
my opinion, there's a lot of question marks more with the rotation than the bullpen. So, the bullpen is the more of the strength of the staff. And if this kid Kranick can give us something, man, that is going to be lockdown city and a big boost for this Mets team, man.
Yeah, because especially with the way that baseball and pitching and everything is today, you only have to give us 5 or 6 innings. And if you have a lockdown bullpen, look, I know it was like years ago, but the 2015 Royals,
right?
5-6 innings, and then their
bullpen
just locked everything down. And then that became honestly the blueprint for every other team. And that's what every team does now. If you have a good bullpen, you have to have at least an average staff, because an elite bullpen can carry over the top because they can do the rest.
No doubt about it, bro. No doubt about it. And listen, that would be a big deal. Even look how the Dodgers won their World Series last year. They had a tremendous amount of injuries to their starting rotation. What did they do? Especially when the playoffs started, 4 innings, maybe 5, and then they get the pen in there and they just go into town and they pass it together and gave them enough time to get that tremendous lineup they had to score enough runs to win the games they won. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, it can be done if you have the right arms out there. And I'm glad to see the Mets are building a pretty damn good bullpen, sneaky good bullpen right now. If this kid Kranick can become a factor and actually do what he's doing and become a factor, man, it's just gonna really give Mendoza a lot of options to go to during games to win games going forward, man. So let's hope that works out. Let's hope that works out. All right, let's do it, baby. The all-time Mets team.
All right.
Been looking forward to this. Ramon, I know you've been ready for this, and I'm going to let you go first because I'm really interested to see if you made any adjustments. You kind of gave me some hints what you were thinking and what you were doing. So, hey, man, start it off, man. Let's start off with that that infield before we get into the pitching.
All
Man. What do
right.
you think?
I'm going to start off with this is my Met infield. And I'm going to let you know right now, there is one there that some people may not agree with me, and I'll give
That's
my
okay.
reasoning
That's
why
okay.
I chose this one. All right. My starting catcher is Mike Piazza,
Right.
Hall of Fame Met player, the bat, above average defender. Yeah, like there's nobody else I could pick above him.
No
Honestly,
doubt
there
about
was
it.
nobody even close. I love Gary Carter. Gary Carter is probably my all-time favorite Met in the world. I'm not even going to
Right.
bullshit you.
Right.
But I couldn't even put Gary Carter next to Mike Piazza. That's how good Mike Piazza was for the Mets. Even
Tremendous.
with Gary Carter winning a championship with us, he could not touch uh, Piazza as a Met, because we're doing this as Mets. Because if we add everything else,
Yeah.
obviously I could say that Gary Carter, he can give Mike Piazza a run for his money, because
Right. Of
defensively
course.
he was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But just as a Met, no one's touching Mike.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
So with that being said, yeah, so Mike Piazza, and then honorable mention Gary Carter, Paul LaDuca, my man Todd Huntley. All right.
Oh, that's my guy, man.
Honorable mention to him. 42 home runs. He held the Mets record for the longest time, if
Yes,
you
he did.
remember.
Yes, he did. And played on a
He
lot
was
of bad teams too.
a
He
lot
was
of
our
bad teams, and he carried the
one good player.
offense. Yeah. Yes. So shout out to Todd Huntley if you're out there watching.
Yeah.
First base, Keith Hernandez.
No doubt.
Is Keith Hernandez. The Gold Gloves, almost winning MVP a few times with the team.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way that he played, just that whole from when he came in from from 85 all the way till he left to like 89, 90, nothing but good. Like I can't say anything like, but I have Pete as second, and I think that Pete will be passing him soon, as
Yeah.
long as he stays on the Mets.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, he's within striking range to become the all-time home run
On almost
record.
every major freaking offensive category. You know what I'm
So
saying?
he's gotta be around. Yep.
Yep. Shout out to Carlos Delgado and
My
my man
guy.
John. Yeah, and my man John Olerud, who had 2
Yes.
fucking amazing years as a Met first baseman.
So
And I think if
underrated,
he
man.
was there in 2000, they have a better chance against the Yankees. I'm not saying they'll beat the Yankees, but I think they have a better chance against the Yankees if he's playing first base in 2000, because he was a Yankee killer.
Yes, he was.
He was a Yankee killer.
One of the most underrated players in his era too.
In MLB, honestly.
Because he started in Toronto, and Toronto, even though Toronto
Those 2
won a couple of World
championships,
Series, they were Toronto. It's like they weren't covered the way that they were covered in the US, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But just a tremendous player, one of the most underrated players in his era. Yes, you're right.
Yep.
I like that.
Second base, Edgardo Alfonso will be my starting second baseman. And my backup for that is Bud Harrelson. I'm going to go back and pick up a player from the original Met teams from the 60s and 70s, because Bud Harrelson was very important to Mets history.
Yes.
Not only was he part of the 69 team, he was part of the coaching staff, and he was an extension of everything. So he's very important. People tend to forget that.
Right.
Now, here's the one that may ruffle some feathers. Shortstop. The Mets' greatest shortstop to me right now is Jose Reyes.
I have no problem with that, bro. I don't. Jose Reyes is one of my favorite all-time Mets. I could never hate on that pick. Nope. Go ahead, brother.
Give Lindor about a year or two, he'll be the greatest shortstop in Mets history. Yeah. But as of right now, because the things that Reyes did for like an 8-year period with the Mets, 8 freaking years, people forget that.
Yes,
how good he was.
And he came back. And he came back and was on the 2016 playoff team.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So like Jose Reyes, he's the standard right now. And obviously Lindor is going to blow the doors off that here. Like I said, it may be this year. At the end of this year, I may be changing that completely, just like my first baseman.
Right.
Third base, there's only one. It's the captain. It has to be David Wright.
Yes, sir.
David Wright is like Don Mattingly. They
Yeah,
don't get hurt. They don't have the spinal stenosis. We're talking about them both in the Hall of Fame right now.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's how great
Absolutely.
David Wright was. David Wright was robbed of an MVP award in '06.
Yes.
Okay? He was robbed of an MVP award in '07 as well. Let's not forget. Like, he should have been back to back.
I think
That's why they're
'07. I think '07 more, but he was definitely a high candidate.
okay. So,
Which
and
which
then for
I'll
my
comment on that '06 as soon, but go
yeah,
ahead.
and then Howard Johnson would be my backup there. People forget that
Yes,
he almost
Hojo.
had a 40-40 almost twice with the Mets.
Hojo.
Two-time top three and MVP.
Right,
Like, people forget how good he was.
right.
Helped them win a
I like that.
championship in '86, and then took over from Ray Knight
Right,
and became a superstar at third base for a few years.
right.
So okay, and the rest of this I'll try to go a little bit quicker so you can get to
No,
yours.
take your time, boss. Take your time. I
Okay,
like. Go ahead.
all right, no problem. Right field, Darryl Strawberry. It has to be Darryl.
Darryl for sure.
I've seen some prettier swings now, like Ken Griffey Jr. Let me see, Barry Bonds,
Yeah, right.
Carlos Gonzalez. But at that time, Darryl Strawberry had the prettiest swing I had ever seen in baseball.
Yes. Oh,
And he made it look so effortlessly. And if he doesn't leave New York for LA, he's probably the greatest player in organization history,
talk about it.
honestly. And that's not even hyperbole. Like, that I really mean that. And
Right.
shout outs, the backup to him would be Rusty Staub.
Rusty Staub was a very
Great.
underrated player in this franchise.
Yes. And Curtis Granderson. Shout out to Curtis for
Brandy,
being,
man. I like
for
that. That's
being
a nice out of a box. I like that, bro. That's
yeah,
a very nice out of the box choice. Good job.
because in
Yeah.
2015 he was very important to our team. He was a
Yes, he
leader,
was.
and he was if the Mets win the World Series, he's probably the MVP of that series
He
of
was
the MVP of
tremendous
the
that
World Series.
series.
He was
He was
tremendous.
tremendous, man. And he really did lead the revival because at that time when it was the alleged, hey, now the Wilpons are out of their debt with the Madoff. Now they can actually spend on maybe buy a player. He was the first player that they bought, which was Granderson. And
Yep.
everybody was kind of like, oh, why'd you give him that?
Why'd you got him?
The end of the
We got
Yankee
Yankee leftovers.
yeah,
Oh,
we don't want no
no.
ex-Yankees. He was a tremendous player, great clubhouse leader. He brought professionalism back to the Mets at that time when they were escaping the Wilpon Madoff doldrums.
And really remember, that pitching staff was so young, and they needed somebody. They needed somebody, and he took a lot of pressure off of them. When a lot of the bigger players didn't want to talk to the media, Grandy Man was right there.
No doubt about it.
So I always have respect, always have love for Curtis Granderson.
Right.
Center field, hopefully next year it'll be our new Hall of Famer. You already know, is my man Carlos Beltran.
Beltran, baby.
There's nobody close. Yeah. Nobody close. I love Mookie Wilson. Mookie's not close.
Yeah.
My father loves. My dad loves.
Too.
Oh yeah, he's not even close. My father loves Tommy Agee. Tommy Agee isn't close. Even my father said it. Tommy Agee isn't close. Yeah. So it's Beltran, and with, like I said, Wilson and Agee are my picks. And then left field, I'm gonna go back because I've watched some video. I've done some homework on him, and for Mets left fielder has to be Cleon Jones.
Good choice.
Like, you look at what he did with the Mets. He was always so consistent. Mm-hmm. And outfield defensively, it was a different time then, but he was between him and Agee, left field and center field, they were wonderful. Right. So and for left field, the backups I would have Yoenis Cespedes. He's my backup. He would be higher, but it's only the way he ended. I'm sorry. That left a bad taste in my mouth. That really did.
I understand.
And I also want to give a shout out to Kevin McReynolds. He was a very steady Met player for like 4 or 5 years. About 20 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and pretty decent defense. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't a bad
He was very good
left fielder to have.
defensively. Very good defensive left fielder. No doubt about it.
So that would be that's my starters right there. And if I
Okay.
had to pick a DH, you could pick anybody from anyone that I said. But if we want like a DH to like really like to bring home, fuck it, Dave Kingman. Let's bring Dave Kingman in.
Yeah.
You know, if
David
we didn't know if we were
Kingman
going to
was
hit a
just
home run or
that's what you
strike
want,
or
right?
strike out. You know what I'm saying? So he made it exciting. Let's bring Dave Kingman in there.
Well, it definitely wouldn't be Vogelback. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh hell no!
I like that team. Very good. I like that one. So I'm gonna give you mine. First off, as we are in agreement with most of these players, I would say, but in agreement. Obviously, at catcher, it starts with Mike Piazza. I mean, it's Mike Piazza was the greatest hitting catcher I have ever seen, ever seen. And you know, people could talk about Mauer. Mauer was a very good hitter for the Twins when he was a catcher, but I don't put him on the level of a Mike Piazza only because of the power. The power numbers.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
He was a tremendous. I mean, he was really, truly a unicorn ball player. He was the guy that would hit not only 35 to 40 homers and drive in 120 RBIs at least a season, but he would hit well over 300 as well in his prime. And when he got to the Mets, he brought not only respectability but hope, because the Mets were in a tremendous doldrum at that time. Well, many times in this organization's history they were. But from that point, when he got here, when they traded for him back in, what was it, 97, it was a long time before the Mets were good, man. I mean, you're talking about before 97. I mean, they weren't even a playoff team since 1988 from that point. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just not being a playoff team. They were bad every single year.
Remember the worst team that baseball can buy. Remember that cover?
Jeff Torborg and these guys signing Bill Pecota to play second base. All of that, you know, Bobby Bo, and you know, all of those guys out there. It was just terrible, just a terrible stretch, you know, for a long time. And when the Mets started to make moves of getting closer to respectability, they weren't there. They were starting to gain a little bit, but what put them where they needed to be was when we traded for Mike Piazza, man, with Bobby Valentine and those guys. Then we signed Robin Ventura, I think a year later, and you know, and things like that. And then everything just started falling in place. It was a time for the Mets as a Met fan that was one of our favorite times being Met fans, because it was so long that we were good. You know, obviously the next generation followed with Wright and Reyes down the road, but Mike Piazza really saved this franchise from hell when he got here. So I will always be, of course, the 9/11 home run, historic in all of sports.
That is the most important home run in New York Mets history. I don't give a there could be a walk-off home run this year, son. Do you know how I feel about our Mets? There could be a walk-off home run in the World Series this year, and that will still be the most important home run in Mets history. I don't care what anyone says.
Yup. And it wasn't just so important in New York Mets history. It was in New York history in general.
U.S. history, because that made
9/11, man.
That made everyone feel like they can finally take a breath, because we were all on pins and needles. We all had our butts, you know, our butts were puckered and everything. We were waiting for the other shoe to drop.
No doubt
That's what
about
we were waiting for. He hit that shit, and you could hear all of New York, not just Met fans. We're
the
like,
whole city.
Like finally, like we can finally let this out. Like shit, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah,
that's when we knew we were gonna be okay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that home run really helped New York heal. It started the
healing process. It did.
Of what it is now. Haters won't understand, because they ain't from here. They not New Yorkers. If you a New Yorker, you know exactly what that home run felt like and when it happened. It started the chain of healing.
I have Yankee fans tell me all the time how important that home run was
Yeah,
just for New York,
yeah.
just
And
for
even the
because
Braves that night, and they hated the Mets.
The United States wasn't going to start healing until New York started healing.
Yes, exactly.
Honestly, and that
Exactly.
home run, dude, look at this.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah. It
just
was a
thinking about it.
tremendous. It was tremendous,
Hmm.
man. It was a tremendous moment, and it helped New York heal. So Mike Piazza, man, all-time great player, maybe the greatest hitting catcher in Major League Baseball history. No doubt about it. He's the catcher on my team. Then we go to David Wright, third base. David Wright, when he came up, he was on. First of all, he was a homegrown Met. Okay, he was a homegrown Met. He had a lot of hype when he got here, and I always liked the fact that he put the team first. It wasn't just that he
Hmm.
was a great player in his prime. He put the team first in every single way, and
All the time.
all the time, man.
All the
He
time.
was he was the captain. He was a captain in the making when he first got up. Now, guys like Delgado and Beltran helped him get to that level of captain, but you saw he had the traits when he came up, just the way he went about his business, the way he spoke to the media, where he dealt with the fan base, everything. Dealing with all of that. He was a tremendous player. Like you mentioned, that back injury, the spinal stenosis really messed up his career because his career trajectory was going to Hall of Fame. No, straight there. He would have had every Met record, which he has a
Every
lot of them
Met
now,
record.
but he would have had every single hitting record the Mets would have. He would have stayed healthy. No doubt about it. Um,
I think
and
he wins it.
and he
I
worked
think
on
he
his
wins it.
game.
And I think he wins our first MVP award. I think he's the one that does
Yeah.
it. Honestly,
I felt like
I think that
he
he
was
would have
the
done all
'07
that
MVP.
shit. Hmm.
If it wasn't for the fact the team collapsed late and blew that lead, he would
Yeah,
have, to me, was the MVP of that season. He should have been the MVP if the Mets just made the playoffs that year. If they would not
agreed.
have bagged that '07 choke job, he was the MVP that year. He was tremendous. He was the one guy that was actually, him and Beltran were the only guys that were actually at that time getting it done when they were collapsing. You know, they were always giving them a chance, giving the team a chance. So
Yep.
listen, David Wright, third base. And also, when he first came up, David Wright was not great defensively, but he worked on his game, got better every single year.
And became
He
a
could
freaking
field, but
Gold
it was
Glove
his
award.
throwing. It was his
Yep.
throwing. He made a lot of throwing errors. He worked on it, cut down the errors on the throwing errors, but he got better as a team. And that just spoke to the kind of level of player he was, man, because he was already solidified. Whatever he gave you, the Mets were going to take it. They weren't going to move him. It is
Yep.
what it is, but he still had to work that to get better. David Wright is my third baseman. It's just a shame the health prevented him from being what he's potential of what he could have been.
I want to give a shout out to the Colorado Rockies for signing what is it, Hampton? I think in 2000, was it? Mike
Oh,
Hampton in
Mike Hampton?
2001. Because with that draft pick, we were able to draft David Wright. So
Yes,
thank you, Colorado
sir.
Rockies.
Yes, sir. And I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed when he left. I was pissed. I was like, how could the Woodports let him leave? Well, thank you. That was one thing that actually worked in our favor because we got David Wright with that
You
pick.
got David Wright. Yep.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Good catch by you bringing that up. But yeah, David Wright, man, was my favorite play he made. My favorite play he made was that barehanded catch in San Diego against I think it was Brian Giles hit that ball.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And he made a just a tremendous play, caught it bare hand, full extended, made the play. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, we got one. We got one. So yeah, David Wright, man. David Wright.
My
Shout out to
favorite David Wright moment for him, my favorite David Wright moment, when he brought himself back in Philadelphia and hit that damn
the home run.
moon. Yeah, that damn
Well,
moon
my
shot.
top moment was the home run in the World Series. I get chills to this day when he hit that thing. I was
Like
sitting in my living
he got
room.
to experience that. Like a lot of great players never have, and he got to do that at
He
least. So
finally got an opportunity to play in the big dance, in the big stage. And when he hit that ball, I mean, the way the crowd reacted was how I reacted, and I was in my living room. Okay, hey, that was my favorite top moment. As far as performance wise, he did for us. But the barehanded play was the one that made me say, okay, we got one.
We have one. We got one. Yep.
No doubt about it. So second base, I got Alfonso. Listen, Fonzie, man. Listen, let me tell you, Fonzie was just what you call team. Everything the team wanted, he always put the team first to do things. When he first came up, he was a shortstop. I heard this story last year that when he was a shortstop, he thought he was going to be the everyday shortstop for the team when he came up. And then a guy named Ray Ordonez came, and he hated Ray at first. He hated Ordonez because he was moving him out to his top position. He moved him to second base, third base. They moved him all around the infield for him. And then they became very close, which was cool too after that. But it was a blessing in disguise because to me, Fonzie was the best second baseman we ever had that I remember. Now you could listen, Wally Backman gets an honorable mention. I'll give him that, and stuff like that. But man, Jeff Kent, another player. Jeff Kent. I mean, he wasn't Jeff Kent when he was in San Fran, but he was a good player for us. I thought. It was just he just couldn't develop here in New York because after the trade when they got him, they needed him to become like this great player right away. And New York, we don't wait for 4 or 5 years of development too much. We don't, especially when we're not winning games. So Alfonso, man, who could ever forget 2 games? I will always remember. I think it was the 97 wild card chase. He had 3 home runs in Houston. He had 3 home runs in Houston. We were chasing that team. Excuse me. He had 3 home runs, had like 6 RBIs that day, I believe, or off on the RBI. Excuse me. But he had a tremendous game, had a 3 home run game. That was one of the rare times I saw a Met player hit 3 home runs in one game. I was psyched. I was like, oh, man, we're making the playoff. I can't wait. And I think in that same series, Piazza had a home run on Wagner to win a game also in that series. But that was just a tremendous performance by Fonzie. And also 98 playoffs. Arizona, first round against Randy Johnson. Grand slam, and then the game-winning home run in extra innings. Tremendous game, and in the clutch. And Fonzie solidified himself as a clutch player for this New York Met team, man.
And he's been in this organization ever since.
Yes, he has.
Like he did leave. He left like for a few years. He played for San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, like he kind of just like hopped around. But like he's been in our organization ever since. He's been moving up the ranking of the coaching, of managing and everything. Like when he's helping managing the split squad. When Mendoza's with like the other squad, Fonzie's been managing the other team. So he was there. He was the manager of the Brooklyn Cyclone when they won the championship just a few years ago.
Was. And so, I actually thought he was going to get a shot to be a manager too with the organization.
So did I.
Big team, yeah.
So did I. But I mean, I like the way that they went. But like, he's still young enough that like he could still come up and So, and I like the fact that he still comes in and he still mentors the young players. Like especially, he was a consummate professional, especially at the plate.
Right.
He took his time. He didn't strike out a lot.
Right.
He walked almost more than he struck out almost every time. So that's not a bad player to learn from, especially patience at the plate. No
doubt about it. No doubt about it. So
because he grew,
my second baseman, baby.
Yep. Yeah. Wonderful choice.
Yeah, I love him. He will always. He's just one of those Met players that will always be a Met to you, no matter what.
Yep.
He just did everything right, man. He did everything right as a Met.
Excuse me.
He was also a face, I think, on that Piazza team era that you knew was a Met. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like he was one of those guys. Like, okay, he's a Met. You know what I'm saying? And you'll always remember Fonzie because he got a lot of big hits for that team. A lot of big hits. And our lineup was not like deep like that. You know what I'm saying? So Fonzie was counted on to be the protection a lot of times for Piazza before Ventura got there. You know what I'm saying? Him and Robin Ventura was basically the meat of the order. It was Fonzie, Piazza, and Ventura. That was the meat and potatoes of the order that we expected to drive in the run. So shout out to Fonzie, man. That's my second baseman. Now, shortstop, hey, listen, I love what you said about Reyes. And let me tell you something. Everyone that knows me knows, from my wife to any friend that I know, Jose Reyes was my favorite shortstop in Met history until Francisco Lindor got here. Lindor has surpassed him, in my opinion, because of last year. Reyes has always been the one because he was a Met. He was a homegrown Met. I never hated him when he left because I knew what was going on. It was the Wilpons didn't want him back. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that he wanted to leave. He went, and I ain't hate on him. Go get your money. And he also came back to the Mets on the 2016 playoff team. So, you know, always love for Reyes. He's my honorable mention. Lindor, in my opinion, has surpassed him because of the year he had last year. His career numbers are dwarfing, basically. His career numbers as a Meta now have dwarfed Reyes. As far as obviously they were two different kind of players. Reyes was more of the prototype leadoff hitter. You know, he wasn't a guy that you were going to count on to hit you 30. He had pop in that bat, but he wasn't a guy you expected that could hit 30 home runs and drive in 100 RBIs. He would get you your 50 to 80 stolen bases, though. He was a tremendous player, cannon of arm and short. Lindor was the 30 homer, 100 RBI guy. And when they moved into the leadoff spot last year, he took off. And everyone that knows me know how big of a fan I am of Francisco Lindor. Okay, I've been one of those guys defending him against even Met fans that couldn't stand him. And now he has finally gotten the respect he deserves, and I'm glad to see it. Francisco Lindor is my shortstop on my all-time Met team. When it's all said and done, he will have every record, basically around every record in this franchise, because this franchise doesn't have a lot of rich history when it comes to like hitting. You know what I mean? Like we're more of a pitching-oriented franchise. He's going to have a lot of records. I know Alfonso's going to chase that home run record. He'll have that. But all the other ones, I would assume Lindor will be right there when his career is over, or he'll be surpassing. So if not Mr. Soto, who's going to be here a long time as well.
Yeah.
So, yes, Francisco Lindor, Gold Glove shortstop, the unofficial captain. They need to give my guy the C already. Give the man the C. He is the captain of this team. He's been the captain of this team since he's gotten here. Tremendous player, MVP runner-up last year. Let's see what happens this year. But, yeah, he's my shortstop. First base, Keith Hernandez. Best first baseman, defensive first baseman I have ever seen in my life. Okay, he wasn't just a great hitter. He was a complete player. He wasn't like this 30 home run hitter that you see mostly now as the standard when it comes to first baseman sluggers in today's baseball. But at that time, in that era, he was the greatest defensive first baseman I've ever seen. Tremendous with the bat, 300 hitter, clutch gene personified. He made all the clutch hits. He was the leader of the team. Tremendous player, Keith Hernandez. You know what he did. He had the big hit in Game 7 in the 86 World Series when they were down 3-2. He had that big hit in that game to put us up ahead and to turn the tide of that game. Everyone knows what Keith did. When he got to the Mets, he brought respectability. Everyone knew they had Darryl and Doc coming up, but they needed some alphas in there to make that transition easier for them to develop into the players they became at that time. Keith Hernandez is definitely my first baseman. And he perfected. My favorite play, Keith Hernandez on defense, was when he had to charge on that bunt. No one did it better, bro. No one did it better charging the bunt from the first base position than Keith Hernandez to this day. I still don't see first baseman charge the bunt like that. I mean, he would charge the bunt and he would read the play and he would throw that dude out at third every time or turn a double play with that shit, man. Tremendous player he was, man. Keith Hernandez, bro. Now, right field, it's Darryl. It's Darryl. Now, caveat on this, Juan Soto is probably going to surpass him if his trajectory of the career he's having in the Hall of Fame is heading. He might surpass this, but I'm not there yet. Darryl Strawberry was a tremendous player. And I hated Frank Cashin because he let him leave to the Dodgers that year. He should have never left. He never wanted to leave. Darryl also says publicly he shouldn't have left, but there was something going on between them two. But we all know what Darryl brought. He was the player that made me a Met fan, to be honest. He was the player that made me a Met fan. You know what I'm saying? I love Doc and all that, but Darryl was the guy. Because when he came up, he was box office every time he was at that plate. You stopped everything you're doing, you Nintendo, whatever the fuck you're doing as a kid, okay? You stop and you watch his at-bats, those home runs, beautiful swing, like you said, one of the best swings in baseball. Darryl Strawberry, the all-time Met home run leader to this day. He will probably surpass him this year, and he is a Met Hall of Fame. He's in the Mets Hall of Fame. Got inducted last year, or was it 2 years last year, whatever. Yes, Darryl Strawberry, my right fielder. Juan Soto will probably pass him later on in life, but as of today, he is my all-time right fielder, Darryl Strawberry. Left field, as you mentioned, is very difficult to choose. We have not had a lot of great left fielders. So to me, I just had to go with my heart and what I liked and impact of the teams and this and that. I was very close to putting Brandon Nimmo here. I was very close because he's been an all-time Met and everything. But I had to put Cespedes here for one reason. What he did in that 2015 season when we got him, and 2016 in that stretch, I mean, he was an MVP candidate for us, man. He really turned that whole lineup around. The tremendous arm in right field. I know it sucked the way it ended or whatever, but as you said, this is a matter of just what you feel at the moment because we didn't have a lot of rich history with left fielders that we can go to. We can go different here, different there. So as of today, I'll go Cespedes. He had a great. As far as his tools were great. Okay. He could play any outfield position he wanted to play. He had a rocket arm out there, speed, tremendous power. You saw what he did when he got traded over to the Mets. He really stabilized the lineup, and the Mets took off. They took off from there when he got there. Okay. There was even debate at the time between who was better between Cespedes and freaking Judge when he got there. Now, obviously, Judge is the better player, but at that time when it was happening, it was kind of like, man, who was better? Who is better right now at this moment today? And it was a conversation because Cespedes was balling out, man. He was balling out. It was tremendous. So I'll go Cespedes here. My honorable mention is Mr. Nimmo because of the longevity and what he's meant to the team. And also Kevin McReynolds is a good one, like you mentioned as well. I like the McReynolds. I kind of was a little mad at him when he first got here because I felt like that was like the replacement for Darryl because of that BS that they did by getting rid of Darryl or whatever, and stuff like that. But I forgave him because he was a good leader, a good guy, quiet guy, was very respected in the clubhouse and leadership. But so I don't mention to him as well. Now, center field is definitely Carlos Beltran, in my opinion. He is the greatest center fielder in New York Mets history. It's not even close to me. I'm sorry. It just isn't. You can name whoever you want in a conversation. I guess it's a conversation wise to have a conversation. There was no one better than Beltran in his prime. What he did, first of all, when he came over here, he came here and he brought respectability as well. He was the guy that I felt like really justified Mania convincing the Wilpons to spend money. You know what I mean? Because we all know they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it, but they did. He came here and he was tremendous. In my opinion, he was the uncrowned MVP in 06. I know you mentioned Wright, which was a solid pick, but I felt like in 06, he was tremendous. That first year, he got the Lindor treatment. He was the first he was the first one to get that Lindor treatment his first year in 05.
Yes,
he got injured colliding with Mike Cameron. He was adjusted to being in New York, coming from Houston and Kansas City, whatever. He showed what he was about going forward in 06. His 05 season wasn't terrible. He had 23 home runs and 53 RBIs, but
but for the contract he signed, you don't. That's not it.
Exactly. Obviously. He had 78 RBIs. He had 16 home runs, and it was only because he got hurt. He had collided. He got hurt. He was adjusted.
Yep.
Let's talk about his 06. Okay, his 06. First of all, he had 41 home runs. 41 home runs. He tied Todd Hundley's franchise record at that year doing that. Okay, he had 116 RBIs. He walked 95 times. Okay.
Hmm.
He also stole 18 bases, had a 275 average, and a 388 on base. Okay. His OPS was 982. Okay. People like to ignore that, but hey, I'm not. This guy was tremendous, just a tremendous career. His hits, he had 140 hits, 127 games, tremendous year. I felt like he was the uncrowned MVP that season. I think Pujols probably won it because he was tremendous as well. I don't remember, but I felt like he was great. And Carlos Beltran, one of my favorite all-time Met players, man. DH
I th-
is tricky. Oh, go ahead, bro.
I think that it was because remember that '06 Met team, like they were the best, one of the best teams in the league.
Still mad
So
they
I
didn't
think
win it
that
all.
they split because remember Delgado had a fucking huge year too,
Yes, he did.
38 and 114. He
Yes,
had a
he did.
huge year. So I think that
Huge.
voters were looking at that as well,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah,
like,
kind of hurt him. Yeah,
okay, like
especially
because
coming
that's
off the year before where they were like, oh, he wasn't really great. So now this year, Delgado gets there, Wright is there. It kind of like
yeah,
messed up the
and,
voting for all
and
of those
that was the
guys.
first year that Reyes finally showed his ass. Showed
Yes,
that he was actually really good.
yes,
So it was like, all right, he had all these things going for him. Because unfortunately, it happens like that for some athletes.
yeah,
Like they're like, oh, everybody else is playing well around them. Have you ever
right.
considered that maybe everyone else is playing well because of him?
Right, exactly. They didn't even want to do that, and you know that Met team they didn't have a lot of fans because from outside of the Mets in New York because of the way they celebrated and had fun and all of that.
Yeah,
So
you can't have that. Not
can't
no.
have that in the baseball world. Remember that nonsense. But
Hmm.
now it's funny we see more of it all the time now, and now it's accepted. It's just hilarious to me. But DH, I'll go Cliff Floyd, and I know, hey. Obviously, the National League hasn't had the DH rule for a long time, so this is basically whatever you choose. I just kept it in the context of the position. Cliff
Okay.
Floyd, when he was a good Met, he was a solid player for the Mets. His problem was injuries. You know what I'm saying? It was injuries, and
Hmm.
even on that '06 team, he was hurt that year a lot. Um, but I felt like just the context of the position, he would have been a tremendous DH for this team, a tremendous DH because he was a left fielder, outfielder or whatever, and he had some injuries he dealt with. Maybe being a DH could have saved him and prolonged his career a little longer. I just felt like he had a solid Met career, man. He had a lot of home runs for us. Big, powerful left field bat, left-handed bat. He was good, man. I like Cliff Floyd. I know it's more of a personal choice because I like Cliff Floyd when he got it. He was a good player. He was a good expo too when he was in Montreal as well, Marlin. But I like I,
Hmm.
I like Cliff Floyd. I think he would have been a nice DH for my team. Man.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice. And like I said, like anyone who you have on your honorable mentions,
Yeah,
you could put at DH at this point.
pretty
Like
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Grandy, Nemo. Like imagine Delgado being your fucking DH.
That would have been crazy, bro.
Because
Woo-wee.
you have Keith Hernandez starting at first. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you know what's
So
funny? I was gonna put Delgado there, but I was like, damn, but he's really a first baseman. Like, but
mhm.
but now that you put it like that, I probably should have put him there.
Yeah, because like seriously, at that point, it's just like you're just looking for a bat.
Yeah,
Like fuck what everyone, whatever else they
yeah,
do at that
yeah,
point.
pretty much, bro. So what's your starting rotation? What's your all starting rotation?
All right. Number one starter, not close again. He's A1. There's a reason why he has the nickname the franchise.
Yes, sir. Statue
He
and
was
everything.
he was the franchise of our freaking organization and still is the late great Tom Seaver. He is A1. That is it. There is nobody above him, nobody close to him. I'm
One
sorry.
of the
There
greatest
nobody.
pitchers of all time. Period.
All time. All time. Like full stop. Just that's it. Just Tom Seaver.
No
He's my
doubt
number
about it.
one.
No doubt
Uh
about it.
Number two, I'm gonna go with my man Dwight Gooden.
Yes, sir.
Um
Doc, the doctor.
that second year alone, that second season, that second Dwight Gooden season.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. Like that alone puts him above almost everyone in Mets history. That might be the greatest pitching season a Met player has ever had. He had a 12.2 WAR that year.
Box
24-4, 1.53 ERA, 16 complete games, 8 shutouts, 276 innings pitched, 268 strikeouts, 229 ERA plus, all league leading.
Tremendous.
He should have won the MVP that year.
Yeah, could have
in
made
that
a case.
85 year.
Yep.
And if you look throughout his whole career, up until 92, 17-9 his rookie year, 24-4, 17-6, 15-7, 18-9, 9-4. He got hurt. He bounces back, goes 19-7, 13-7, and then finally, after all that time, he has his first losing record for the Mets.
Right. Tremendous, man. He was box office, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So he's two. He's my second one. He's the one that I throw out there second to go. My third pitcher would be Jacob deGrom.
Right.
It would be Jake. He would be my third pitcher. What he did for that from like 2016 till he got hurt may never be replicated again. He was absolutely unhittable. And if the Mets had any semblance of a team then, they would have won a couple of World Series. That's how freaking dominant Jacob deGrom was during those few years.
Yes, he was.
And that's major league wide. That wasn't just National League or National League East. He was kicking everyone's ass.
Yes, sir. He was dominant, filthy, just tremendous, man. Tremendous player.
Number 4 on the rotation will be one of Tom Seaver's contemporaries, Jerry Koosman.
That's a nice choice right there. Yeah.
Very underrated Met.
Very.
Pitched for the Mets for, I think, about 10 or 11 years and had numbers comparable to Seaver. But the reason that it didn't translate to wins was because the Mets sucked and he was there for a little bit longer.
Exactly. He was one of the original Mets, man. One of the original.
Over 200 wins in his career with a 3.39 ERA. Like, pitchers today would kill to have that.
Right.
So, Jerry Koosman is my number 4 starter, and my number 5 starter, David Cone.
Yeah.
Coney.
So underrated, bro.
Yes, definitely very underrated. And that's the funny thing. Underrated everywhere he goes.
Yes. I don't understand that, but
he's won, and besides us, he won championships everywhere he went.
Toronto, Yankees.
Yeah. He was he with the Royals when they won also, I think, in 87?
I don't think so. Maybe he was, because we got him in 88, right? Didn't we? We traded for him in 88.
Yeah.
He was 20-3 that year in 88 for us. Believe so.
No, he did come with us to 87. So he missed that championship year with Kansas City.
Okay.
But like almost everywhere he went, like you said, Toronto.
Oh, I think 87 he got injured. That's why. He got injured.
Yeah, he only pitched like 11 games that year for us. So, but 194 wins, 3.46 ERA. And then with us, like I said, especially that 20-3 year, that 88 season. If it weren't for Earl Hershiser, he would have been the freaking Cy Young Award winner easily.
And Mike Scioscia.
Yeah, Mike Scioscia. I hate that 88 Dodger
I hate
team.
that guy. If you know, you know. If you're a part of the Met fan fraternity, if you know, you know. Mike Scioscia, we don't like him.
I don't like Steve Sachs. I don't like what's that dude? Guerrero. I don't like
Gibson, all those guys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like F them all. Hey, Kirk Gibson.
Yes.
I wish he would have wouldn't have made it around. I don't care. I'm hating. I'll say it now. It was yours, so
get them out of here.
But get them all of them. All right. So what's your starting 5?
Okay. All right. Well, because of the new rules and the new trend, I got 6.
Okay. Okay.
It's mostly because it was tough for me to choose the last spot. You know what I'm saying?
I get
So I
it.
said,
I
you
get
know
it.
what? F it. 6-man rotation. Obviously, you touched on it. Tom Seaver, the franchise, no doubt about it, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. You could put him with anyone of all time,
Anyone.
especially in his era. Tremendous, really was the name franchise really was the one that fit because he was really all the Mets had, man. He was their face for a very long time. A very long time. And a lot of that time was bad years. It was a lot of bad years. He was the constant, he was the guy. And that 69 team that won, it was a crazy rotation, but he was the leader of it, man. He was the leader of it. And and they would have won in 73 with
I
him
was
if
gonna
it
say
wasn't.
that '73 team. He was the only one there. Honestly, it was
Yeah,
him and a
yeah.
bunch of freaking guys from Saturday Night Live, not ready for prime time.
Right,
Honestly, let's
right,
just be real.
right. Yogi Berra made the mistake, as the legend goes. He made the mistake of pitching Seaver on, I think it was 3-day rest or whatever, to try to close the series when he should have kept them on term when they had the advantage in the series and saved them for Game 7. I forgot the pitcher's name. I was supposed to go. He didn't let him pitch. And you wonder what would have happened if he would have just let it be. But yes, Tom Seaver, he has a statue, and outside of Citi Field, long overdue. Shout out to the Mets for doing that.
I remember also he had the highest percentage of Hall of Fame votes until Derek Jeter passed him.
Oh, Jeter, yeah.
Yeah, because you remember Jeter missed it by 1 vote.
Yeah.
But before that, Tom Seaver, 3 votes.
Yep.
That's what he missed it by, and he had like 98.9% of the votes.
Right.
So like he was the man. He was the standard
man, bro.
for the longest time.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And he should have never been traded if it wasn't for that crap that went on at that time. But he came back. He came back to us, to finish it out because he loved the Mets. And, hey, Tom Seaver, greatest pitcher in franchise history. No doubt about it. My number 2 start is Doc. As you touched on, we in agreement on these first on this.
These first three, it looks like we're in agreement, right?
No doubt about it. Doc was box office. What he did in his rookie year, what he did in '84. I mean, it was crazy what he was, man. And then the career path, '85, he was great. He was great in '85 as well. When they almost caught the Cardinals that year, they almost did.
He was the most untouchable pitcher in the world in 1985.
Absolutely,
no one can see him.
Who could forget when he made his debut in the All-Star game, man? Remember what he did in the All-Star game?
Smoking fools, smoking them. No one could touch him.
That was the Mets have arrived moment. Really was. It was the Mets have arrived moment. Like the Mets are coming from being so pitiful for so long. When Doc,
this is what I always come back to, especially when talking to Doc and people try to like downplay like his importance to Mets.
Right.
1.53 ERA in '85.
Tremendous.
Who has done that since without a 2020 season?
Exactly. And no one came close to what he was. And he could handle the bat too. Remember, the pitchers was batting. He can handle the bat too.
7 home runs,
getting hits.
7 home runs as a Mets pitcher. Yep.
Tremendous.
He's our all-time leader in home runs.
Yep. For pitchers. Yeah.
Yep.
He was a tremendous athlete, man. So Doc Gooden, listen, you wonder what could have been with him and Darryl based on the off-the-field issues. You wonder what could have been. And also that rotator cuff injury he suffered with the Mets as well. And remember, at that time, medicine wasn't on the level it is today. They could have possibly prolonged his career a little more to what he would have been. Hey, listen, Doc Gooden is an all-time great Met. I don't think there's if it wasn't for Tom Seaver, I probably would go Gooden if Tom Seaver never existed as the top guy. Based on the impact of what he meant to this franchise. So Doc Gooden is my number 2. Number 3, Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom is one of my all-time favorite Mets, period, of all time. What he was, first of all, when he came up, he didn't have the all-time hype the other pitchers in that group of, Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard, and Matz and Wheeler. He didn't have the crazy hype that Harvey had when he first came out because they were the first two to come up. But he passed him and is just one of the greatest pitchers of the era. Okay, just one of the greatest pitchers of the era. Just tremendous. Jacob DeGrom, the consistency, getting better every year, the constant work ethic. Man, he was untouchable, bro. He was untouchable on the Mets when he would hit his prime, man. And me and my daughter I will never forget this. Me and my daughter, we went to his final game as a Met in that wild card game against San Diego. We had a great time that night. And a tremendous gift she gave me when she got the tickets. We went out there, and it was a tremendous game and tremendous performance. He was the only winning pitcher in that series we had. And with all, it's a shame the injuries and stuff that played out towards the end of his Met tenure, because there's no doubt in my mind, if it wasn't for the injuries, he would still be a Met. He would still be a Met. Steve Cohen would have definitely okayed that payment to be made at what he was looking for.
Imagine him as the ace of this squad right now.
Oh my God!
Not hurt.
So great.
Oh my God!
If we could have just
let's not play. You know what?
I know. I don't want to go there because it hurts.
Then we're gonna get sad.
It's still fresh that he's still not a Met. It really is still fresh that he's still not a Met. But I will always be a fan of Jacob DeGrom as a Met. He was one of my all-time favorite Met players. Period. As a Met. And no doubt about it.
I named my freaking dog after him. I have little Jacob DeGrom downstairs. I shit you not. And it was before he left the Mets, So I was like, oh, I'm just going to name him Jacob DeGrom. And then he left the Mets. And I was like, damn it, I can't rename him now. He's Jacob DeGrom.
It's too late in the game now.
It's too late now.
It is. Just a tremendous player, a tremendous pitcher, man. I mean, he has the all-time respect from the greatest hitters of this generation right now. They couldn't hit him. They couldn't touch him. Cerebral, had the ability to make adjustments in game, even if he hadn't have his great stuff. Tremendous Met, one of my all-time favorite Met players. Al Leiter is on my list.
Very underrated. That's a good choice. Very underrated. Very good choice.
Underrated Met. He really was he was an underrated Met because he was also, along with that Piazza era, man, he was the ace of our staff. Before Mike Hampton came for that one season, Al Leiter was our ace for years, man. For years. He had a really solid career. I believe he won a World Series with the Marlins, before we got him. And when we got him, man, he was our ace. Who could ever forget the performance he had in that game 163 playing game against the Cincinnati Reds?
Against the Reds. Yep.
When we finally cracked the code, when we finally got into the playoffs, man, in 98. He pitched a shutout, complete game shutout. Think about that. Complete game shutout, man, to clinch a game. That was one of the all-time most clutch pitching performances in Met history that really doesn't get enough talked about, man.
No. He's
everything was
Al
on the line.
Al Leiter's so underrated, and I think it's because all the names that were in New York at the time, honestly, like the Yankees were running shit, and they had look at the stars that they had, and then even when you came to the Mets, they didn't start with Leiter. We started with Piazza, and then even you have Ventura, and then you had all those other guys, and then you thought about Al Leiter. You even thought about John Franco before you thought about Al Leiter. Unfortunately, and Al Leiter, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Great pitcher everywhere he's been. Everywhere he went, he was good. Fame too, right? Yes, well deserved, which he should be. So. Yes,
and that cutter that he would either break your bat or you're not hitting it. If he's locating it, you're breaking your bat or you're hitting it a foul ball down the third base line. I don't know how many fans in that third base dugout got so many souvenirs that night every time Leiter was pitching, because all those foul balls going down that line that you could never keep fair. You either break your bat or you ground the third or foul. That was it. Al Leiter, the pressure he had in that game to get us into the playoffs that year was so heavy that people to this day do not talk about enough, in my opinion. Again, remember, At that time, the Mets were trying to get back to respectability. They made the Piazza trade. They came close to 97 the year we got Piazza, but 98, they had all those expectations. And they got in on the last day of the season. They had to play an extra game. If he loses that game, if the Mets lose that game, what is the trajectory of that franchise going forward after that?
They probably blow it up right there.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. So, hey, Al Leiter, shout out to Al Leiter, one of the most underrated pitchers in Met history. Now, Now, these next two, David Cone, you touched on it. David Cone, very underrated pitcher. I loved him as a Met. You know, that year he had an 88. He was like 20-3. He was our ace, man. He was our ace that year. You know, he was our ace. You know, Doc was there and everything. We had Darling, but Cone really solidified that team and that staff, which Sid, all these guys, and you know, and that year it ended sour. We were supposed to win it that year. You couldn't tell me we weren't going to win it that year, but whatever.
Yeah, no, we were going to sweep whoever we were playing.
Yeah. But he was the ace of that staff. Just a tremendous season, 20-3. You couldn't touch him. You just couldn't touch him, and he really had the Mets a juggernaut that year. Unfortunately, they did not finish the job, but he was a tremendous Met, man. Tremendous Met. It was sad when we traded him because we were so bad in that time period. I had no choice. I think we got Jeff Kent in that trade. Maybe even Ryan Thompson. I don't remember the whole package, but I know Jeff Kent was in that trade when we traded him to Toronto. He went on to win a championship there. Won a World Series with the Yankees. He had a very good career. I don't understand why he's not even in the Hall of Fame. That's a story for another day. He deserves it. But David Cone was a very good Met pitcher when he was here. Very good player. Very good player. And last but not least, I got to put Matt Harvey here. I got to. And I know it ended up bad and everything, but again, context is everything, man. Just like with Al Leiter. Matt Harvey led the resurgence from the doldrums of the Madoff Wilpon crap. When he came up with all the expectations, he was box office. We all know the deal. Harvey Day, Harvey better, all of that. Yeah. He was untouchable. He was the best pitcher in baseball when he was healthy and his head was straight. In that little short period, he was a big part of the Met resurgence from the doldrums of that Madoff Wilpon crap. I'll always remember his performance in the World Series.
Oh my God, that freaking game!
That game, yeah. He was right there on the doorstep of superstardom, New York lore, and it just didn't work out because he didn't get taken out when he should have by our manager that year, Mr. Terry Collins. But you know what? It ended sour. He was never the same after, you know, the off the field problems and also the
pneumatic nerve.
The injury he got. He just never found it again. It was a shame it ended the way it did because he was right there. Started the only All-Star game in Citi Field history. Started the only Citi Field All-Star game in history. And listen, I'll admit it to this day. It felt good when he hit Cano. I don't give a damn. It felt good. It felt good. Not that I wanted to injure Cano, but it felt good that this is our stage in my house. You getting drilled. I'm doing this for us. We're not good yet, but you're not going to outstage us. We're not doing this nonsense.
Not in our home. Nope.
Not in our house. This is my time and the Mets' time to shine. Tremendous, tremendous pitcher, Harvey. It's a shame it ended the way it did, but got to give respect. Context is everything, you know, based on where we were at that time, man.
Okay, if I get to pick, I'll pick a fifth starter off the top
of my head, brother.
Fast.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my man, the Hawaiian, Sid Fernandez.
Oh, Sid. Good choice.
El Cid.
I like that. El Cid
I could have either went for him or Ron Darling, but I think that Sid had a bigger impact than Ron Darling did, and for longer.
Yeah, so I can see that. I can definitely see that. All right, I'm gonna go bullpen. I'll start this one off.
Yes,
we're almost ready to close the show, but yeah, bullpen. Listen, I'm gonna put Edwin Diaz as my top guy because of that 2022 season, man. And I just feel like there's still meat on the bone with him. You know. Closers, bullpen guys, it's always tough to choose those kind of guys because they just year to year in baseball. It's just a very year to year position. but Edwin Diaz is one of the best closers in Mets history. And that 2022 season was the greatest closer performance I've ever seen from a Met closer. And if you think about Mets history with closers, it ain't that good.
Oh God,
it ain't that good, guys. It ain't
the
that
heart
good.
attack and heartburn that they give
No
us.
doubt
Our
about it.
closers. I don't even say
No
the team,
doubt.
just the closers.
Yes.
Because we can go on from freaking from Benitez to Franco, you know, like, and the list goes on, you know, like that.
Yeah.
We were like, we're winning by 5, or we're winning by 4, we're winning by 3, we lose by 3.
Yeah. And
So,
I'll say this. Francisco Lindor is the reason why Diaz is on this list right now. Because if he would have blew that game against Atlanta the way it went, the way he came in that game,
agreed.
in that doubleheader, if Lindor ain't saved his bacon with that tremendous moment that he had with the home run in Atlanta, I might not have him on this list right now.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
So I we won the game, so we can move on off that. But 2022, the trumpets, everything, it was must see. It was box office, man. It had everyone around the world in all sports and all fans. The trumpets drew my daughter into the whole Diaz experience.
Awesome.
It was tremendous. Just Edwin Diaz is on my list, man. Tug McGraw, listen, Tug McGraw, he's right there. Tug, he had a tremendous career for the bullpen as a closer, even in Philly. He went to the Phillies and later on in his career. Tremendous closer. Was our closer in the 69 team and 70s and whatever. He was there. You got to believe.
He was our heart and soul. That's all I was going to say. You got to believe. Like, he was the one.
He was the one that came up with the slogan.
He was the only one that believed. Everyone else didn't believe in that team. And he's like, we're going to do some shit. And they almost shocked the world. They almost beat the freaking A's during their run of power dominance. Imagine that. Imagine if they would have beat that team. That 73 team would have beaten the fucking big red machine and the fucking Oakland A's in that run if they would have won.
No doubt about it. So that's why I got Tug McGraw, man. He's the founder of the "You Gotta Believe" slogan that to this day is used and will always be known in lore. Tug McGraw is on this list as well. John Franco, all-time leader for saves as a left-handed pitcher in MLB history. I got to put him on the list. John Franco, he gave me heart attacks, no doubt about it. He gave me heart attacks, but you know what? He was one of our only good players we had in a long period of time of just straight bad that the Mets had. Okay, when you came
early
into
90s,
the game,
it was just him.
It was just him. It was just him. And when he came into the game, you felt good at least. Hey, man, we got a shot to actually win a game tonight. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't perfect, but he was solid. And you know what? Who could forget? People don't. Well, I guess people do forget. They don't talk much about it. But in my opinion, his strikeout of Barry Bonds, okay, in that
what was it?
Divisional
2000?
Series matchup in 2000.
Yeah.
That was a tremendous.
He fooled the shit out of him.
Yes. Remember, that was the game Benitez blew. Okay, to JT Snow of all people. Okay. Yeah. So let's never forget that performance, that play that he struck out Barry Bonds in a big spot in extras, I believe, if I remember correctly. Before the Mets won that game, went on to win that series, and Giants were a heavy favorite in that series going into that series. So
yes, they were.
I never forget that moment. That was the best moment in John Franco's Met career. Shout out to him. He's on my list. Jerry's Familia. Okay, listen. As I mentioned, there's context is everything. There isn't a lot to really put on a list like this for Met pitchers in the bullpen. Jerry's Familia blew his games, his fair share, but he also had some good moments, man, as a Met as well that I don't want to take away. And again, he was a part of
that 2015
Madoff on that 2015, 2016, that Madoff stuff and everything. Hey, his emergence in the second half of that season was a big deal, as much as the young starting staff pitchers being in that rotation. Remember, just people forget he wasn't even our closer to begin the season.
No.
He was the setup man.
Yeah.
He was the setup man. And what was the closer to begin the season? Jesus, he got injured, I believe. Man, drawing a blank for the moment, but he was the setup man that year.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just don't.
Yeah, he got injured and he got injured that year, and then he took over and he really took off. He had a really, really great second half. In that season was our closer, and he locked down. He didn't get it done against the Royals in Game 1 in the World Series, but he did lock it down going up until that point. And when he came in the game, we felt good when he was in the game. And he closed out the pennant in Chicago when he struck out Fowler, okay, and was celebrating. Who could forget him celebrating on the mound?
Yeah,
he won the pennant, going into
jumping
the World
up like
Series.
a little kid.
Yeah, jumping up. Jerry Familia has some real solid years for the Mets. He blew his fair share of games, but he has some solid years. So I put him on this list, man. Not a big list to usually use. Now, some might say Billy Wagner. I thought Billy Wagner was okay. He blew too many games for me. Who could ever forget him giving up a freaking home run to Yadier Molina? I will never forgive him for that. But in games and just late, he had some meltdowns in wrong times. But so I thought about putting him on, but I didn't want to put him on over Familia because context is everything, as I said. Familia gave me better moments, so I put him ahead of him. Bartolo Colon would be my long man. Bartolo, you could use him anyway. Starter, rotation, bullpen, long man, close. Bartolo, man, come on. Who doesn't love Bartolo Colon, right?
He is, he's the only player to have like multiple steroid suspensions, and people still fucking love him. And it's freaking. And I think it's because unlike the other people that are like, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, he's like, okay, and
I did it.
He's like, all right,
money.
Okay, like
good clubhouse
did I pitch well for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay, whatever. Put an asterisk. I don't give a shit. Let's win.
Exactly.
And he was a tremendous clubhouse guy. Everyone loved him. I don't think there's any player in the league that ever said they didn't like Bartolo Colon. Good with the media, the fans. He was loved, man. He was a character, man. I got to put Bartolo on this list. Honorable mention, Turk Wendell. Honorable mention. I just want to say that.
You know what? I was going to say he's an honorable mention in my list also because you need somebody with some edge. You need somebody that was scared of mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're out there, you see bones and everything. On number 99, you're like, all right, this dude isn't all there. You know, like I'm gonna give him a minute. You know, like, and he was reliable.
Yeah.
All right, my bullpen real fast.
Yeah, go ahead. Do your thing.
Same exact bullpen, almost exactly the same. Take Familia off. Jesse Orosco is part of my bullpen. That's the only difference. Honestly, that is the only difference because even right here on my list, I have Bartolo Colon and I put middle reliever spot starter.
Yeah,
you see, like we were thinking the same exact thing, but
now that you said Jesse Orosco, I should have put him on my list too, man.
Instead of Familia. So
yeah, I guess I had some recency bias, but I definitely forgot about Jesse Orosco. That is a great he should be on my list as well. That was a good.
I just had to go back and start thinking some more because I was doing the same thing. It was a lot of recency bias, honestly. So I was like, I got to go back. I got to go back.
Who could ever forget Jesse Orosco with the striking out Kevin Bass in extra innings in Houston in that 16-inning memorable game in the NLCS, and then throwing his glove up on the mound when they finally won the World Series when he got the last strikeout. Yeah, Jesse Orosco definitely should have been on my list. That's on me. I should have did that. Good job by you. So I'll go managers before we close the show. I have a tie, man, and I can't. And Davey Johnson was a tremendous manager, Hall of Fame, in my opinion. David Johnson, man, 86 team, had respectability of the franchise. He was the leader and the captain of the ship of a very dominant time the Mets had, and probably the only dominant time they've ever had in their franchise history to this point. You know what I mean? Where they were dominant. Like there was a stretch from like 85 to like 90. They were well, maybe 89-ish, because 89, 90 was kind of the end. But in that little period of a like 4-year window, they were a dominant team. They were hated, man. They were a hated team because they were so good.
I told you before I would take that 86 team against any team in Major League
Anybody.
Baseball history.
Anybody.
I don't care. Anybody.
I mean, they were what New York was all about.
108 wins, dude.
Yep. And like, all the comeback wins.
Like, come fights, on, man.
Man, they were New York for real. But I have to put Davey Johnson here. But I also got Bobby Valentine there in the tie as well. Because Bobby Valentine, you know, as a young, in my teenage years, man, he was the manager that always had the team together. He pieced it together when we were basically underdogs, but he had us going back to respectability from that Davey Johnson era into the transition of the doldrums. We were so bad for so long. Bobby Valentine was the captain of the ship when we got Piazza and these guys, and we started to become respectable again. And he handled himself tremendously during 9/11 as well. I'll never forget. I had some people that at the time that I was trying to work down there by Shea Stadium, and I didn't get the job, but I had friends out there, and he was one day giving out supplies with everybody and stuff. I thought he handled himself tremendously during that 9/11 time when we were on the road to recovery in this city. But Bobby Valentine was a great X's and O's guy. He was a character, no doubt about it. And he had a lot of times when he would rub people the wrong way with his style and the way his personality was. But his players respected and loved him. His players respected and loved him with the Mets. You know what I'm saying? And they played hard for him every time. And when it came to X's and O's, there wasn't too many managers out there that could outfox Bobby Valentine. Okay.
No, he showed from a very, like, even when he was coming up as a manager for the Mets AAA team and AA team, that he was better than everyone. Like he took the least amount of talent and made them play their butts off. And he's always been that way. Shit, look what he did in Japan. He took a sorry ass team in Japan and won a Japanese World Series. You know, like that just goes to show you like his greatness. Like he's always been a great manager.
Right.
So
tremendous man. So those are my two guys. I got them in the top, man.
My manager would be I think I would pick Bobby V over Davey Johnson, and the reason is because
I ain't mad at you.
Bobby V didn't give a fuck.
Yep, he didn't.
He didn't give a fuck.
Coming in the sky.
Mind you, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And mind you, my man he was from Connecticut, but he had like that New York chip on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gonna say shit to me. You're not gonna say shit to my dudes or anything. Where Davey Johnson was more like I'm about to release the hounds on you. You know, like, you sure you want to mess with? Go get them, guys. Where it was like, you know, Bobby V's like, no, don't mess with my dudes.
Right.
And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to my man, TC, Terry Collins. And the reason he's always going to be my man is because when he made Syndergaard throw at LA the very next year, at Chase Utley, like right there, like I was like, you know what, TC got my respect forever. That was it. That was it for me. He's like, come on, you got to give us a chance. You know that's bullshit. I watch that on when it's online every time I see it, every time, because I'm like, TC, that's how I want my manager to fight for me. That's it right there.
Right, I respect that.
So
I respect that. Yeah, that's a good choice too. That's a good choice. And hey, he was a part of that team of resurgence, man. You know, when we finally got out of the Madoff crap with the Wilpon Madoff excuses.
And he's still been very important to the team now.
Yeah,
like, he still shows up.
He has a voice.
And he still gives Mendoza like so much advice and everything. It looks like, you know, like he's always like just in his ear, and that's good for a young manager to have somebody with that much experience that can manage. No doubt about it. The Mets are in a really good. The Mets are in a really good. They have a really good problem now because now all their older players are coming back to share their wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like that before. It was like players stood away. Now it's like we want to come back home.
They like coming.
We coming home.
Yep, for sure.
That's why I miss like players like Gary Carter right now. Gary
Yeah.
Carter would be in Citi Field and be down. He was going to be our next manager before all that happened. Remember how well he was doing coming
I
up?
remember that. Yep.
And then he got the
There was a lot of talk.
cancer diagnosis, and that was it.
Yeah.
So our guys want to come back. It's just that the Wilpons never gave him a reason to.
Yeah.
Now we have an owner that this shit matters.
Yep.
Like these names matter.
It's like I always say, bro. I always look at everything from the past now as the past, and as in like we talk in biblical BC before Cohen. That's the way I'm looking at it, because the Wilpons were just terrible owners, and I'm glad we're done with that, man. So shout out to that, man. So that's gonna wrap up today's show, man. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us. Before we go, I just want to say shout out to the Mets. Shout out to all Met Nation out there. And if you're new to the channel, I just ask that you like and subscribe to this channel, Born for Sports, because I talk all sports. I talk New York Mets baseball. As you can see, we chopping it up. Spring training, season approaching real soon. I talk New York Giants football. Free agency on deck. Tomorrow, the tampering period goes. We'll hear some news. A lot of crazy rumors out there right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like
what
that
the hell,
going forward.
I'm curious what the hell they're going to do, because there's so many crazy rumors right now.
I am like all over the place right now. Like, oh God, I'm getting agita for real. Like, there's some rumors I don't like, and there's some rumors I do like. We'll put it like that. But we'll be talking more this week about what goes on. Free agency officially starts on Wednesday, but we all know it really starts tomorrow. That BS. Yeah. But yes, Giants football, big time Giant fan as well. I talk New York Knicks basketball. Knicks dealing with Jalen Brunson injury. They're going to have to figure these things out. Playoffs are getting closer and closer. Let's see how that goes. I talk it all. I talk Yankees. I talk Nets. I talk whatever you want to talk about in the world of sports, especially New York sports. Ramon, any closing words? Thank you for joining me as well today.
Anytime, brother. You know how that is. Anytime you need me here for baseball, I'm here for you. Like I said, during the season, there may be some times that I'm actually working over there, and we can take it live there too.
And for people that don't know, please let them know what you're talking about. For the people that
I work right now. I currently work for the Colorado Rockies. I work in their
you don't have to reveal what you do. Just you work there.
Oh no, I work inside the good Lord, scoreboard room. Excuse me, yes. Jesus. That's where a lot of my stuff is doing, and I get to go onto the field, and I get to meet some players, and get to speak, and then I get to see baseball, all the time. So
yes, sir.
Very excited for the season. April 4th is our home opener. It's the Rockies versus the Athletics, and I'm very excited. I'm excited for the season. Me, I'm a Met fan, die hard, but I'm working for them. I want them to do well. And the Rockies, I think they're going about it the right way right now. They're starting their young kids now, and sometimes that's what you have to do. You just got to rebuild, and that. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the season, and I'm ready. So,
yes, sir.
Thanks for having me again, dude. I appreciate you. You know that.
No doubt, man. Thanks for joining me. Shout out to Mets Nation. Like and subscribe to Born for Sports. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Yes, sir.